I think they show the full shot.
Do they?
Yeah. I would just hold it. Well, it's great to have you back with us in Pembroke for the Certa T20 International Series. The sun is shining, so it's the second game in the series. Sri Lanka won the first one by 7 wickets, quite comfortably, 20 balls remaining. We have the second one coming up for you. The sun is out and we're looking forward to seeing what happens. Georgie Heath was out in the middle for the toss. Let's see what happened at that.
So I'm joined now by the 2 captains and the match referee for the toss, and it is Laura with the coin. So off you go, Laura. Heads is the call. And it's tails. So, Laura, what are you going to do?
We're going to have a bat first today.
And how come?
It was a pretty good wicket on Sunday, and we want to get out there and use the most of it early on.
And have you got any changes today?
Yeah, Inuri Montowi is out of the 11 for today, and Christina Coulter-Riley makes her debut.
Very exciting. And what have the discussions been the last couple of days since that loss 2 days ago?
I think one area that we really want to rectify is putting our power play right in the fielding innings and possibly scoring a few more boundaries towards the back end of the game, which hopefully will allow us to put up a bigger score.
Because that was the thing, that you sort of really got going, got that foundation, and it was just those regular wicket scoring that sort of really, the regular wickets falling that really slowed the scoring, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we found it tricky to score boundaries. We scored a lot of 2s, but trying to create an extra option to score a boundary and put pressure back on Sri Lanka is something that we definitely want to try and put right today.
And you had an amazing crowd. What was the atmosphere like for you guys on Sunday?
Yeah, it's always so special to play home fixtures and to have our family and friends around, and hopefully we have a good crowd again today.
And nice to get back to some international cricket. Well, go well today.
Thank you.
And Anushka, so you guys are going to be having a bowl first. What would you have done?
Yeah, I like to bowl first.
Oh, it was worked out nicely for you then. And have you got any changes in the team today?
Yes, 2 changes. Amma Kanchana and Shashini Gimhani coming in.
And what's brought about these changes?
We need to try out new players.
And you're a team that looks very confident at the moment. A convincing win for you guys on Sunday. How good was that knock from Harshita?
Yeah, that's, I think, a brilliant knock. I think she must be continue in this game as well.
And you guys looking to try and make it a whitewash win today?
Sorry?
You're trying to make it a whitewash, win it 2-0 today?
Yeah, I think this is Ireland team, very good team, but we need to play good cricket.
Well, it's very exciting cricket that you guys are playing at the moment. Sri Lanka cricket looks in a very good place. How nice was it to have such a big group of fans in on the weekend?
Yeah, I'm really like to play like this crowd. Hope they support us.
Well, good luck. Go well.
Thank you.
So the news from the middle is that Ireland have won the toss and they're going to have a bat first.
So 2 happy captains there because they each got what they wanted. We'll see who's the happier at the end of the game. Isabel Joyce here, delighted to have with me again Celeste and Georgie for our pre-show, and we'll be talking to you throughout the game as well. I want to ask you first, Georgie, about the last game. How did you see it? What did you think went well for Sri Lanka in particular?
Well, Sri Lanka, they just looked in such fine form with the bat. Ireland put up 145, which we thought was about par and looked like quite a good score. And then Harshita just came out and she continued in the same vein. She played in that Asia Cup final and she just was phenomenal today. Unbeaten 86 and just hitting it to all parts. The 6 in there, 15 fours, I think, something like that. And she just really looked so comfortable out in the middle. And then just those batting around her, Gunaratne, a 30 to her name. They did lose a few wickets, but by that point they'd broken the back of the chase and they looked very comfortable and did it with 20 balls left.
It did look quite easy for them. What was your assessment of that performance for Ireland, Raki?
Georgie made a great point there with the dominance of Sri Lanka with the bat, but Ireland did a lot that they could be proud of in the first innings there with the bat. Gabby Lewis looked in really good touch with her 39 off 33. Orla Prendergast with her 29 as well really showed good signs. So that partnership there is going to be key for them today. With the bowling, Freya Sargent with the new ball takes a lot of guts to bowl to players of that standard with the new ball at that age. Eileen Kelly looked very economical as well.
Well, I'll stay with you. I mean, we're talking about Orla Prendergast looked really good. 4 runs for her until she's got 1,000 T20I runs. So she's probably eyeing that up today. But sticking with you, going from that game to this game, where do you see, and I know you heard from Laura Delaney there, but where do you see them having to make the biggest changes?
Well, it's going to take a little bit of work to try and sort out the bowling and fielding innings and put some more pressure on the Sri Lankan batters there. Yesterday, it looked like it was quite easy for them. Obviously, a great performance from Sri Lanka, but having seen what they could do, it'll be a real challenge for them to try and put their best foot forward.
And looking at Sri Lanka, Georgie, you're our resident Sri Lanka expert. They did look really good, but were there any areas you felt like they might look to tweak coming into today?
I think perhaps at times, like early on in the Ireland innings, they actually really set off at quite a canter, 73 for 1 in the first 10. So maybe they want to keep the squeeze on, take some earlier wickets, because they did allow that 50 partnership up the top. So maybe they were looking to try and take earlier wickets this time and sort of keep it down below that 140, 145 mark. But actually, I think there was a lot of good stuff to write home about. Maybe just one drop catch in there, but I think at this point, I'm just clutching at straws, really.
I'm going to come back to them because I have a bit of an issue with their fielding. I just want to bring everyone's attention to our Smash It and its wicket participants today. They come from a variety of places. We see them in the background here. They are actually from 4 different places: Pembroke, Limerick, Lismore and Railway Union. And those Railway Union kids, they include Kevin O'Brien and Ruth Ann O'Brien's kids. So lots expected from them, no doubt. And they're going to get to shepherd the teams out. So that's a big occasion for them. So just coming back to the fielding, Ireland, it felt like they fielded actually better in some respects. Now, there was the backing up, Raki, which wasn't a good point. Yeah. But Ireland ran lots of twos and Sri Lanka weren't allowed to run as many twos. What do you think you can put that down to?
You're right there. The running between wickets was very impressive. And these Irish batters have really been working hard on that. They've made that a focus, hitting space and running twos. So they know the ground a bit better than the Sri Lankans do as well. They know where the pockets of space are that they can run. So perhaps having seen the ground, having experienced yesterday, Sri Lanka may end up trying to follow in their footsteps, and it might be something they try to do as well.
We saw Sri Lanka making a few unusual errors in the field. There were lots of fumbles. Do you put that down to maybe new conditions? I know it's not cold, but it's colder than they're used to, and we might see that turned around.
Yeah, I think perhaps, and fielding is something that you can always work on. We've said how tight some of their bowling has been, how good their batting has been, but if there is something you're going to pick out, yes, it will be that fielding. Like Raki says, these Irish players, they know this. They know where the little ridge is. They know this ground like the back of their hands. So they're going to have their eyes on that. And I think for Sri Lanka, that's something that they can work on. They can work on attacking the ball, try and stop those twos, because you could see that the Irish batters really were trying to go for two. They were pushing that first one hard, always thinking about putting the pressure on the fielder. And it was working because it was causing them to make that misfield and then easily get home for two. So that is something they can look at. But then, like Raki says as well, they can think about putting the pressure on, take the first run hard and try and come back for the second.
Do you think it was more Ireland putting pressure on than that Sri Lanka's fielding was poor? So it was almost a tick in the box for Ireland.
Let's give it a tick in the box for Ireland, because we kept saying it on comms actually. You could see, especially someone like Gabby Lewis up the order, they were really setting off for that first run hard. And when you're tall as well, easy, you eat up the yards down the pitch. It doesn't take many steps. But I think putting that pressure on, and we talk about it a lot, don't we? Put the pressure on the fielder. Don't run on a misfield, but if you can cause it because you're running and pushing that really hard to come back for the second, I think that's really wise cricket.
Yeah. Well, it's the final T20 in the series, Celeste. Ireland unfortunately didn't qualify for the World Cup coming up. We'll push that to the side. But Sri Lanka, they're coming into this one in red hot form. They've never really been a favourite going into a T20 World Cup. No one's really looked at them as a possible winner. Do you think that might be changing, not just because of their performance here, but because of the performances in the last 12 months?
I think they've really shown in the last 12 months that they are a force to be reckoned with. I think more than anything, winning that Asia Cup final, beating India, the amount of people watching that match that have seen them do what we know they can do now, and getting to see them play series like this against teams like Ireland, who they haven't played since 2017, and showing their dominance. It's great for Sri Lankan cricket and very exciting, looking forward for them.
Well, they're going to be someone we're going to keep an eye on. Someone else we're keeping an eye on today, the bell ringer, is Miriam Greeley, former Ireland captain. She was my first captain and she was a fantastic one, I have to say. Things to note about her: 18 years she played the game, which at the time was really quite something because there was no financial support. You had to support yourself. She was at 4 World Cups, internationally respected, and she's an honorary life member of the MCC, one of 10 women given that because of her contributions to women's cricket. So she's just about to ring the bell, and it is the Roy Tarrans bell. Roy Tarrans died recently and this is in his honour, so Miriam will ring that in a minute. So we're just going to have final thoughts coming up after we talk after we look at this bell ringing. We're going to talk about the teams, but for the moment, let's allow the round of applause for Miriam Grady.
And 79 ODIs. Miriam was the first woman to score 1,000 runs in ODI cricket for Ireland. In the year 2000, she scored 101 against a mighty Pakistan side. In 2017, Miriam was inducted into the Cricket Writers Hall of Fame, and she is an honorary member of the NCC, the first Irish citizen to be so honoured. Miriam Grady, could I ask you please to ring the Royal Orange Center?
So, Roy Tyrne's bell, that's 5 minutes before play, and it is an honour to ring the bell. The first one for the women's internationals with Judy Cohen and our T20 on Sunday, and that's Miriam Grady. So, just finally, we're looking at the two teams. Celeste, we'll come to you first. It's the Irish team. There have been a few changes. Can you tell us about those?
So 2 changes to the Irish team. Firstly, Una Raymond-Hoey is out with an injury, and Cara Murray is making way today for Jane Maguire. Coming in for Una Raymond-Hoey is going to be a big name who is making her debut today, her first game for Ireland, and that is Christina Coulter-Riley.
Yeah, big day for her, the girl from Clontarf. She'll have plenty of support here, I'm sure, today. So it's a big day for Clontarf and for Christina Coulter-Riley. We heard lots of cheers as well earlier. She's a popular member of the squad, so great to see her in. Then we'll take a quick look at Sri Lanka. Georgie, tell us about Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so 2 changes for that Sri Lankan side that won just 2 days ago. So going out, we've got Kumari and Prabhadani. And coming in, we've got Sashini Gimani and Amma Kanchana. And actually, Gimani is a really interesting one. She's just 15. She was actually the youngest player ever to play a T20I for Ireland. The left arm wrist spinner, can bowl left arm and right arm, so really exciting prospect.
Okay, so that's the two teams, and just before play, these are the highlights from the last game before we get into the live action here in Pembroke Cricket Club. Opening the bowling for Sri Lanka, left arm seamer Udeshika Prabhadani. Here's that swing, gets the gap.
Top edge from Gabby Lewis, and the fielder's going to have to give chase.
A little edge. It's running away. That's lifted her leg side chance. Lakshya De Silva settles underneath it, takes an easy catch.
Oh, that's chipped up in the air. Fielder comes around, calls it early. Easy as you like, hands under it, takes the catch. Lovely noise off the bat.
Nice little deft touch that's going to go run away all the way to the boundary. The fielder's all out in the leg side, but that one will go all the way for 6. Shift leg side in the deep cut.
And has she got an edge on that? Yes! And just feeds it back over. Deep third, goes for 4. And what a way to finish the match.
Make sure you tune in again on Tuesday, where we have the second in this Certa Women's T20I series. Well, you obviously listened to us on Sunday because you're here listening along to the Certa T20 International Series. Game 2 starting. We've got some changes. We're going to have a different opening bowler for Sri Lanka because Udeshika Prabhadani is not in the playing 11. Sri Lanka shuffling their deck. It will be Fernando, the off spinner. We have Amy Hunter and Gabby Lewis, the usual opening pair for Ireland. Just tucks it leg side for a single, and it already looks like Sri Lanka are keen to cut out the twos that Ireland were plundering on Sunday. If you missed our pre-show, I'm Isabel Joyce and delighted to have Celeste Rack alongside. Well, Racky, we had to dash, didn't we, from pitch side to get here?
We did. It seemed to start all of a sudden, but great to be here for game 2 of this CERTA Women's T20 International Series.
Gabby Lewis gets an edge. It's a good edge, quite thick, running out towards the boundary. Lovely day here in Pembroke again. Brilliant to finally have summer in August. It's only taken a few months to get here. But yeah, beautiful day here, and there's lots to do around the ground. I think there are a couple of tickets still available on the gate. We were sold out on Sunday, but there's still a few tickets, and there's lots for the kids to do. Much slower and much thicker edge. There is a slip in place, but that flew past her, absolutely nowhere near her. And that will be the opening boundary of the day. 4 runs for Gabby Lewis, 4 runs for Ireland.
And as we saw on Sunday, the ground out there behind the bat at third, it's very, very fast. And a bit wider than what Fernando intended to put that ball. And Lewis has hit that also a bit finer than she intended to put that ball. So it's a good start for Ireland here in the runs.
Yeah, nice, useful couple of edges. A bit streakier than Gabby was expecting. I think maybe it's a little bit quicker, playing a little bit more quickly than Gabby Lewis was expecting. And I think it was credit to the curator, Dale McDonough, that Sri Lanka seemed surprised by the quality of the pitch that they got to bat on. It did make it look easy in that game, where they won with 20 balls remaining, 7 wickets in hand. Arshita Samaravikrama is in some incredible form. Sweep shot from Gabby Lewis goes straight to one of those two fielders in the deep, but she'll be pleased to get proper connection on one.
And it looks like that's the line that they were planning on Fernando bowling with the field that they've got. 2 out on the deep on the leg side for Gabby Lewis, who wouldn't be as strong a sweeper in general as what Amy Hunter would be.
And there's the stronger of the 2 sweepers, which she finds the exact same fielder who makes sure. Clean contact means there's no chance of a 2, so a really useful opening over for Ireland. 9 from it. After 1, they're 9 without loss. Amy Hunter in that game on Sunday missed out somewhat. Do you think she'll be even more desperate to make herself known in this game?
She's always keen to be in the runs. She's always eager to get out there and score quickly. But as we pointed out on Sunday, she's extremely strong through the leg side and not quite as strong through cover and through mid-off. So perhaps now that the Sri Lankans have seen that, they may look to exploit that region for her.
Well, the interesting thing was always going to be who's going to bowl the second over, because Prabhadani not in the team. No surprise to see Achini Kulasuriya, the other seamer. She looked like she found the right length in that first game. 4 overs, not for 26. Sorry, Rafi.
I was just going to say what an influence Prabhadani has on their bowling attack. She's 4 overs of very consistent, accurate, nagging left arm in swing.
Well, that was well dealt with because it hit the mat. That's always a difficult one when there's an artificial surface right where the ring is.
And it's not something that we experience in international cricket as in as many locations around the world. It's something that before I'd come to Ireland I hadn't seen. So it's a new challenge for teams that haven't played in Ireland much.
Well, there's something we don't see too often, is a drive through the offside from Amy Hunter, but she didn't find the gap. A couple of changes for Sri Lanka, as we've been mentioning. Prabhadani is out, but that does give an opportunity to Amakanchana. And she's someone I've seen a little bit of. Really classical action. Swings the ball away from the right-hander. So she's a really exciting talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she gets out of the conditions in Ireland, where typically swing bowlers are very effective. Slogged a little bit, but just about high enough over mid-on. Well, she was caught there in game 1, but she made sure this time to get the power and the connection for her first boundary. Amy Hunter getting going.
And she's she's very strong through that area, and she's quite brave in playing that shot, even if it hasn't worked for her yesterday. Gets the bottom hand, it extends the arms, and even though she hasn't beat the fielder by much, that is a bit of a mishit from Hunter. She usually hits the ball very hard, and she backs that she can get the ball over mid on there. Sorry.
And then just gets off strike. That's a real area of strength for Amy Hunter. You can see from the scrambling from Sri Lanka that they've been told by their coaching staff, or maybe it's just among the team themselves, that they do not want any of these twos that the Irish upstarts were getting on Sunday.
As yourself and Georgie mentioned in the pre-show, it is the one area in an almost faultless game that Sri Lanka would probably have looked at to improve, stopping these twos and easy singles that particularly Lewis and Prendergast managed to run together.
Bit of a change for Gabby Lewis. I think they must have seen something in the technique of Lewis. Slip goes in. It's obviously played on the mind of Lewis. Lets one go through. So reasonably tidy start from Kulasurya. Just needs to navigate one ball to get what she would probably deem a good over. A wicket would really now round out the over for her. And they're going to make a change. Third comes up, cover goes out. So she has got an eye on just trying to get out of the over without too much fuss. And they, a bit of a miscommunication chance. Had to hit. Didn't hit, so she's safe. Umpire Mark Hawthorne, who comes in today for Aidan Seaver, wasn't even really asked the question. 2 overs gone, 14 without loss.
That's some very tidy fielding from Sri Lanka there. Stopping the single. And that line there to Gabby Lewis is extremely useful. She likes to free her hands, create some with hit through the offside, and that really cramps Gabby Lewis up there. So they've clearly been doing their homework on these two.
I think that's a sign of a really professional bowling outfit, is that they can adjust their tactics game on game. It's definitely something I remember about playing, say, series against Australia in particular. They'll have a general idea of what they want to do to you in the first game. And then as you think, okay, we'll improve game on game, they don't allow it. They just tighten up their plans on every single batter, and they know exactly how they want to get you out, and they can execute. All right, so change in bowling. The incoming player for today, Shashini Gimani, left arm wrist spinner. Yeah, and you don't want to go on the back foot too much to her. I'm interested to see what you think about this, Celeste, because you're our resident leg spinning guru.
I've been very excited to see Gimani bowl. I'm delighted that she's been brought into the squad today. Young bowler. It's a very tough act bowling in the power play as a wrist spinner, in particular left arm wrist spinner.
Well, the reason why I say I'm looking forward to you having a look at her is because I want your analysis. Now, she's left arm over the wicket wrist spin, and ostensibly you expect left to right movement, but she pretty much comes over the top of the ball as far as I can see it, so it's more like top spin.
So the reason that...
Sweep shot into the deep, finds the gap between square leg and mid wicket. 2 full on that occasion. Gimani 2 straight as well, and Gabby Lewis helps herself to another boundary.
And that's a great shot from Lewis there, really putting the young wrist spinner under pressure there. As we've said, Hunter is probably the more natural sweeper of the two, but if you bowl that line to Lewis, leg stump, she is very comfortable sweeping out there. Just on the wrist spin, however, because Gimani comes over the top of the ball at that angle, she is actually angling the ball away from the right-hander rather than turning it back in like a traditional wrist spinner would. And that makes it a bit easier for her to bowl in the power play to the right-hander.
Well, the reason why as well I wanted your analysis, first of all, because she's bowling left arm over, that's no single, but she needs to bowl a little bit shorter, doesn't she? And that makes it difficult for the batters. They think they can go on the back foot, but actually the ball's going to rush onto them.
What we saw on that first ball where Hunter went back to Gimani, that's exactly the legs she wants to bowl.
Mid-wicket in now, no slip. Leading edge. And that's where Gabby Lewis is trying to play with spin that she's expecting, and because of that angle, it's just not turning leg side like she's expecting.
And at the advent of T20, they were discussing how bowlers that bowl into the into the right hander were kind of going to be phased out in the power play. But Gimani's angle, she makes it very hard if she bowls the right length to hit across the ball. So,
well, she did have that one mistake in the over, but a reasonably good one from the youngster. 5 from it after 3, 19 without loss. So she's come in and she's looked the part. Gamani, they often do this. Sri Lanka, they'll shuffle the deck, they'll swap their players around. They're very much a full squad team. We will see a change in the squad, of course, coming into the ODIs, which are coming up very soon. 16th, 18th and 20th up in Stormont. So if you don't have your tickets yet for that, make sure you go online and pick some up. These people have got their tickets in the background. A lovely day to be on the wall in Pembroke. Well, we get our first look at Ama Kanchana. Nice little slingy action.
looks good to start, and every fast bowler with their hair out in a headband already automatically becomes 10 kilometres quicker.
Yeah, she's actually not unlike Prabhadani. Not a very long run-up, just jogs in and comes from quite a short height as well. A little bit too straight, tuck leg side from Amy Hunter. When you see her batting like this, where she's knocking it around by and large, aside from that one lifted over mid-on, do you think that she's thinking, I want to bat 20 overs?
I always think for her, she's always ready to go if the ball's in her area. But I really like seeing the maturity and the composure from Hunter to be able to turn the strike over when it's not quite there for her. So this is an impressive start from her. She doesn't look like she's under too much pressure.
Well, much shorter one. That, I think, surprised Gabby Lewis a little bit. She was thinking about advancing, but the length pulled back. And I think as well, because of the couple of changes, Ireland would have been planning for the team that they played against on Sunday, and all of a sudden, a couple of changes.
Absolutely. It shows the depth of their squad, and we can see here Kanchana has bowled a very tight line the first 3 balls of the over. Hasn't given any width, which is important when you're coming from that short height. She's very stump to stump.
Well, there's a gap in cover, and Gabby Lewis is trying to find it, but hasn't managed it. Considering the couple of boundaries she's scored, she's going a little bit more slowly than she would want. Amy Hunter looks the player who's finding it a little bit easier to just rotate the strike.
Certainly on to Lewis and the fact she wants to score through the offside.
Well, she's missed out there, but I think it was straighter than she was expecting, Gabby Lewis.
So when there's been 3 dots in an over in the power play, especially with someone like Gabby Lewis batting, we can expect something to happen. It's a big shot or it's a risk taken.
It doesn't manage to get it backward of point. So an excellent opening over from Kanchana. Comes into the team. Just 1 from her first over, and after 4, Ireland 20 without loss. So the couple of changes for Ireland, Celeste. Christina Coulter-Riley comes in. Were you surprised by that selection?
I've expected her to get a game, so I'm obviously it's a very exciting time for anyone making their debut. I find it hard to see where she's going to slot in the batting order. I'd expect she'll probably take the spot that Una Raymond-Hoey had yesterday in at 7. But it's she'll be absolutely delighted to be getting a go, and she's performed well in club cricket and when she's had a chance to every time along the way. So well-deserved and exciting day for Christina Coulter-Riley.
Sarah Forbes is the player who comes into the squad in place of her, but she doesn't get a game today. Kamhani gets another one straight to the fielder at mid-off, and Amy Hunter throws it away. Full outside off, and Amy Hunter can't miss the fielders. She throws her head to the sky. She can't believe that she's gone, and the youngster takes her first. Hunter's gone 9 for 10, and Ireland are 20 for 1.
And so will be Tuesday and lose their first wicket.
And Gamani has started extremely well. She's given this a little bit more width. thrown it out there and invited the big shot from Hunter, who, as we said, has been knocking it around well, but we know her eyes light up when she gets that bit of width and bit of length that she wants. So in this occasion, she's thrown her hands at it, but hasn't got enough of the ball, and Gamani will be delighted, having come into the squad, bowling a good first over. She's now taken the wicket.
Yeah, she's made the breakthrough, the young left armer. Slip is back in, no 45. They're going to have a mid-wicket instead, and this is the big partnership. Orla Prendergast comes out at number 3, 29 in the game the last out. She'll want to make a big one, as will all the Ireland batters, no doubt. Still 2 fielders out on the leg side. Flighted delivery again.
There's nothing better if you're a young wrist spinner and you're sliding the ball across the right-hander there, new batter's in, and you've got a slip in. Just shows the confidence that they have in you to attack.
Shorter again and cut away. Big gap there. Orla Prendergast has found it, and that one's probably going to bobble away for her first boundary, and 1,000 runs in T20I cricket for Orla Prendergast. A big day in her career, but no doubt she wants to add another couple of thousand to that.
And there's plenty of time in a career, in Orla Prendergast's career to go, but that's exactly where she wanted the ball on a second ball of the innings. Given too much width, a little bit too short, and she's threaded that through the field very well.
She's so quick on her feet, Orla Prendergast. You can't give her that kind of width. Better line. Looks for the deft touch and does manage to get off strike. And that's something that these two in particular did brilliantly on Sunday, was when they just dabbed it down, even for a spinner. They knew that they could get down the other end, and also they had the understanding that the person at the non-striker's end was ready to run.
It was very impressive from the two of them, and they know each other very well. They've played a lot of cricket together, despite Ireland not having any recent matches.
Much shorter, pulled away and misses the fielder in mid-wicket. There's a fielder in the deep though, so just the single.
The interesting thing about Prendergast is that she gives you such a small margin for error with length, with how quick on her feet she is. So young spinner here, bowling to Prendergast and Lewis, who you can bowl two very different lengths to, and already you can see that the batters have started to dictate where she's bowling, and she's lost a bit of her consistency.
Oh, well, that one got a little bit more bounced, maybe just a little bit tighter to Orla Prendergast as well, so she's lucky to survive that. Didn't quite take the edge. The wicket in it and 6 runs.
And this is the line here that Gamani wants to bowl. Across the right-hander and just sliding through, and as is mentioned, getting the batter on the back foot when it's a bit risky to do so. You don't have as much time as what you think on this quick Dale McDonough curated wicket.
Well, 5 overs gone, 26 for 1. The ice creams are in. Unfortunately, we can't have one, Celeste. It's not good for the throat.
It's not. Well, it's terrible timing.
It's the dairy.
Brenda Hand to come across with the ice cream.
It's not just Brenda. Everyone's walking across with ice creams here. It's very thoughtless. Guys, we need to see the game.
Once the sun's out, when the sun's out, we all go a bit mad here, don't we?
Yeah, well, you have to make use of it while you can. Everyone there is making use of it. The bar is open down in Pembroke, and I'm sure there are plenty who'll be taking advantage. Sachini Nisansala is the new bowler, left arm spinner. She's very different to Sugandika, who is out of the team today. Little shuffle from Gabby Lewis. She's decided to take the single, pressure put on, and the mistake is made in the offside. Well, chase is given, but she doesn't manage to keep it. Oh, well, she has managed to keep it in. Brilliant there from Nilakshi De Silva. I think if I'd been running after that, I would have given it up ages ago. She chased it all the way, and she's managed to save 2 runs. Oh, sorry, 1 run.
It was a brilliant effort. I wouldn't have even had a chance to dive. Would have been well over. She's really put her foot on the gas there and managed a great effort, really, which was well appreciated by the crowd behind them.
I really thought she'd brought it over with her. That's why I started calling the forward. But she managed to throw it to the side, which is amazing. Great athleticism. I've mentioned it before, but I reckon she's the best fielder in the Sri Lanka team, especially considering the fielder in front of her at extra cover kind of dived over it and would have distracted her.
And you called that early, and she's done everything to prove you right so far. So it's been, very impressive fielding from her.
Long off goes out. Oda Prendergast looking to put that through the offside. Harshit the Samarovikrama. Bit of an untidy throw. But it's another time we've seen Sri Lanka, and this is my only quibble with them. When one batter does something, they'll change the field for the other batter. So mid-off's gone out to long off, but it's a different batter on strike. Oda Prendergast dances down. Better from the fielder in extra cover this time, and they're not going to take her on. Good decision. Well picked up from Enoshi Fernando.
And I agree with you there. And we were saying yesterday perhaps it's because they hadn't seen a lot of the Irish players and assumed that the players would play quite similar. But we know, having seen a lot of these two, that they do play very different from each other.
Much shorter. Fielders up in cover for Gabby Lewis. So maybe actually I can't really complain because they changed the field for Orla Prendergast and then they've moved it back up for Gabby Lewis. So it wasn't the shot that made them change it was the batter.
Good. It's really
much better.
Hear. They've done their research from yesterday. They've learned a bit about these two.
A big shout, but I think there's some bat on that. So Gabby Lewis misses the ball but doesn't lose her wicket. Nissan Sala's first over. One delivery remaining. She's just gone for 4. And it's the final over of the power play, so she'll be desperate to try and get out of it without a boundary. Big thick edge, and I don't think she'll manage it. 4 runs. The edges have been working well for Gabby Lewis. 4 runs to close out that over. That makes it a good one for Ireland. 8 from it. The power play is done and dusted. 34 for 1. We'll edge that from Gabby Lewis. She's had a number of edges and none of them have gone to the wicketkeeper, so she's got to keep hitting them. And with that, Celeste Rack will take a break, a well-earned break, and she's been working as a physio all morning, and then she's got to come here and talk to us, Georgie. Georgie Heath now alongside.
Yeah, really good start this for Ireland. They're just the 1 wicket going down, but Gabby Lewis is looking very comfortable. She looked good actually on Sunday as well. And these two just working away nicely. Nice to see Orla Prendergast bring up her 1,000th, easy enough for me to say, 1,000th run. And doing it with the boundary too, always quite a nice way to get to that landmark. Well, Fernando, ball in hand. Again, just finding an edge again. Will fall safe, but again, they're pushing for those ones quickly. The backing up is really good. The communication between these two is great, and they're both pretty quick between the wickets. So they're going to keep pushing those and keep ticking it over, keep rotating that strike. And that's what I really like to see. Busy cricketers. And just not quite timing it like she would hope. I keep seeing Gabby Lewis sort of rehearsing the shots. That's why she keeps finding those edges. She's just not quite timing it.
Yeah, doesn't look herself. I think she is just really keen to get a big score. It's been a long time since they've had any international cricket, and she wants the feeling of reaching a landmark.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because, you come together as a team and then you go off and you play in your wherever you're playing, your club, whatever, around the world sometimes, and then to have such a long gap between international cricket, and it's not like they've just played last month, to then have to come together and gel again, no matter how much you get along with your batting partner.
That's the 24-yarder. She dropped it shorter than she meant. Yeah, well, look, the Irish team are professional now. So the girls that are in this squad, by and large, Christina Coulter-Riley aside, I'm not sure what her deal is, but because she just came into the training squad in the last few months, but they train together 3-4 times a week. But it's different actually batting and bowling together, isn't it?
Full toss dispatched is going to be 1 bounce 4. Lovely looking shot. Hold that pose at the end. One of those.
Well, she has committed to this shot, Gabby Lewis, and that was the key, because I think she caught this really high on the bat. An unusual full toss from Inoshi Fernando, and I think that Gabby Lewis was coming down anyway, but there she caught it. It didn't come off cleanly, but she went right through, and mid-off was inside the ring, so she's helped herself to 4.
Just a slight interlude as she does the shoelaces up.
I think there's a couple of shoelaces coming undone. Gabby Lewis and wicketkeeper Anushka Sanjuani.
Bring back Velcro, if you ask me.
It's still around. It's
Well,
maybe not cricket boots.
Yeah, maybe not for people over the age of about 6.
But note to self, throw away those Velcroed shoes I have at home.
Again, finding the outside edge, Gabby Lewis, but the ball is going to win that race. It's a quick outfield, as we know. And she picks up another 4 to her name.
Back-to-back 4s here to end out the over. And I think this is actually a little bit a better shot than we first thought. Yeah, she's hit that really late to get it between point and third. So after a slightly streaky looking shot over mid-off, that one looked a bit more assured.
Yeah, so 7 overs gone, 45 for 1 on the board. And I think for someone like Gabby Lewis, you talk about her wanting to get a big score. I think once you sort of get yourself into the 20s, you're in now, you know, and she's like, right, I'm here, I'm set. And now she's just looking a little more comfortable, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's where she's always batted, is up the top. For batters, say, like myself, who normally batted in the second half of the innings, you get to 30, you're not really sure how to go on from there. Because you're so used to playing at the back end. But for her, once she gets to 20-30, she knows she still has loads of time. So she should hopefully, from an Irish perspective, kick on. That's what the people in the background there will be hoping. Lots of Sri Lankan support in though as well. And that's one of those ones in point that look amazing, but they're the ones you love to get because it's bounced straight up into Harshita's hands.
Yeah, it comes straight to you, doesn't it? And you think, this makes me look like a very good fielder, and the last thing you want to do is juggle it or misfield it.
Yeah. Well, it was coming at pace, so you do still have to stop it. Oh.
Well, nice little deft touch there from Orla Prendergast, and then scamper through for the 1.
Well, I was interested to see, that's the first time we've seen her slower ball, isn't it? A little leg cutter. Not that well disguised. So if Orla Prendergast didn't know it was in the armoury, she had a split second to figure it out.
Nice looking shot. There is a fielder out there on the boundary, so they'll come in and just cut it off for 1 again.
Well, the good news for Gabby Lewis is that she was struggling to make that shot happen early in her innings. She tried to hit that cover boundary fielder a number of times, and she kept on finding extra cover and then point on a couple of occasions. That time she timed it perfectly.
Yeah, good running again. You're going to have to be quick here. And actually almost a chance of a second. The bowler just sort of rebounding it.
The reason I'm laughing is because you said you have to be quick here, and I thought, well, she is. She was home so easily, but everyone else in the world would still be reaching. Orla Prendergast is cantering home easily for that single.
Yeah, she's already hand on hip, resting on her back.
Yeah.
And that's up in the air. It's going to land safe, and it's going to pick up 4. No, it's not. Cut off, juggled. And there's that little bit of the one thing we were saying Sri Lanka needed to work on, wasn't it? That bit of fielding.
Yeah, well, this was a little bit top edgy. And what happens when there's a top edge for a sweep like that is it's swirling in the air, and it actually managed to take the ball into the fielder, and that brought the 50 up with that too. But she would have been hoping for a boundary. But it almost turned into Vishmi Gunaratne's hands in the deep there.
That's a lovely looking shot. Again, that fielder out on the boundary comes in, cuts it off, and makes it just 1. But these two just ticking along nicely. 8 overs gone, 51 for 1 on the board.
Yeah, they look like they really enjoy batting together, Orla Prendergast and Gabby Lewis. They're similar types of runners as well. Always keen to come back for a second. Really, really fit. And I always talk about this, but because they are two of the best players in the squad, and I mean, I can say that without feeling like anyone would feel aggrieved by me saying it, but they're the two hardest workers. Well, they're up there with the hardest workers, and you always want your best players to be the hardest workers because it means no one else has an excuse, and that breeds really good culture within this squad. Kavisha Dilhari, the new bowler, didn't have the best of days on Sunday. She's usually such a tight bowler for them. She went for 21 in just 2 overs.
Gabby Lewis on strike. Nicely weighted. Again, just trying to pick out that gap, and they'll come through for one easily. Yeah, and I think that's what you want. You want it to come from the top down, really. And you talk about it, whether it's the better, in inverted commas, players in a squad or the older, more experienced ones. If they set that benchmark, then everyone has to sit up to it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lovely little touch from Prendergast.
Yeah, and like for these two, Gabby Lewis has been in the team since she was 13, 14 years old, and she's always been a really hard worker, but she's both the opening batter, senior player, vice captain, so all those things. If you have her working the hardest, then there's no excuses for anyone behind, so it's really very much just leading from the front.
Struck on the pad, and well, the keeper really likes it, really likes it. But a bit of a woody sound, we think.
Yeah, definitely hit some bat much quicker through the air. This is what we usually see from Kavisha. She changes her pace so often, does have the leg spinner, but this one was a little bit quicker, flatter, and if it hadn't hit bat, then umpire Mark Hawthorne would have been lifting the finger.
More of a flighted delivery to follow it up. She's just wiping her hands there, perhaps a little sweaty. It's hot in Ireland, yeah?
Hot for Ireland as opposed to hot.
Was just going to land safe. Thought about coming down the pitch, Prendergast. She was almost stuck in two minds. She was going to come down to it and then sort of ended up in no man's land and ended up sort of yorking herself.
Yeah, I think she's premeditated that one. Definitely came down, and then Kavisha Dilhari had the skills to just fire it into the toes. Still really young Kavisha Dilhari in her career, but she's so impressive with her field placement. She knows exactly what delivery she's going to bowl, so she's making sure she has all the fielders in the right places. Adds extra protection on the offside.
Go to the sweep, and it is picks out that fielder backward square, and again just one to finish out the over, so 5 coming from that.
Yeah, a couple of quiet overs there for Sri Lanka. 6 and 5 coming from those two, and that's something that they're really good at, is in the middle overs, just changing things up enough that you can't really line up any bowlers. There they are on the wall. Plenty of ice creams. Did you take one of the ice creams that were being thrown around in front of us?
They were being thrown. I was actually on napkin duty because I just had this image of ice cream going everywhere. So I think perhaps that might be my mid-innings activity. Or it would have just gone everywhere. It's not what you need. Me and the sprinkles, the sauces. So another headbanded warrior here.
And Nissan Sala, the left-arm spinner, returning.
Well, that has gone up very high, and the fielder for a moment thought she might be in with a chance, and that is just a glorious-looking strike from Orla Prendergast. Or Gabby Lewis, I should say. They were so quick between the wickets. When I look up again, they're both at the other ends.
Yeah, it didn't look like she even hit this that hard, did it? Bottom hand came through just in time to lift it, give it the elevation required, and Lakshmi De Silva, I think it was, in the deep. If anyone's going to pull off a screamer, it's going to be her, but it was just a little bit too far. perfect depth.
Yeah, and that's nicely played. The Pigeons don't like it much. And a misfield, and it goes for 4. So back-to-back boundaries for Gabby Lewis. She moves on to 45.
Well, she's absolutely caned this one through the Pigeons' favourite area on the ground. There must be some... Yeah, there they are. They were disbanded. Maybe that was what distracted the fielder in the deep, who just didn't get down quickly enough. But I think she's read the situation really well there, Gabby Lewis. She knew that one was going to be wider after she'd come down the track.
Yeah, good recovery, that from Nissan Sala. Well, we're saying, you know, after 2 pretty quiet overs, Gabby Lewis came out and said in the 10th, you know what, I'm going to take this on. 10 from the first 2 balls. And in the first match, they were 73 for 1 after 10 overs.
I think they were pretty happy with that 73 for 1. It was the next 10 overs that didn't go quite to plan. These two did really well, but they lost a wicket very soon after, didn't they? And in fact, both of them are out very quickly after the drinks break, so they want to put that right today. Gabby Lewis will be keen to get back on strike and maybe cross the 50 mark before the drinks break, but she might find that difficult. Prendergast on strike now.
Again, not quite timed, and a fumble at mid-on.
Well, she looks really annoyed, doesn't she, Kavisha Dilhari there? She prides herself on her fielding, and they keep on burgling singles to her whenever she's in mid-off or mid-on on Sunday and then again today.
It's a strange one, that as well. Then it starts getting in your head. It'll just be 1. Pigeons flying up again. So 10 overs gone. Ireland 69 for 1 after winning the toss and deciding to have a bat first.
So there's the batting. Just Hunter out, 9 from 10. She somewhat gave it away when she hit a catch to Dilhari off the left arm leg spinner. Left arm wrist spinner, I should say, Gamani. Lewis and Prendergast, the 2 out now. Lewis very much getting things underway. 47 from 36 for her. Prendergast ticking things along, 13 from 14.
Just the 1 wicket picked up by Gamani coming into play today, but Fernando's been expensive, 20 coming off her 2 overs. Also, Nissan Sala, the 21 from her 2. So they have been tidy. Not a single extra has been bowled by the Sri Lankans today, and they bowled just 5 in the first match to Ireland's 11. So that's something that's really important in T20 cricket. Keep it tight. Don't give away free runs. So big tick in the extras box for the Sri Lankan bowlers.
And we'll just take a quick break. Join us again in a minute or two's time for more live action.
So 10 overs gone. Ireland winning the toss, deciding to have a bat, find themselves 69 for 1. Gabby Lewis going along very nicely and kept company by the young Orla Prendergast, two real stars of this Ireland women's team. For those of you who didn't get to tune into the first match, it was won by Sri Lanka on Sunday night. In front of a somewhat raucous crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great atmosphere, and my two little ones were here, and I don't think they watched too much of the cricket, but there was some smash it in its wicket equipment in the background. They spent 2 or 3 hours playing there, and they're only 3-1, so that really tells you how much fun it was that they was able to keep them occupied for that length of time.
Good start there from Dilhari. That's what you want after a break like that, the 10 overs, the drinks break. You want to come out and be tidy and put that pressure on the batters again while they're just struggling to get their concentration back. And that's what you see, a little bit of a moment there.
I think Gabby Lewis, I'm sorry for exclaiming there, but I just thought that was, how did that miss the stumps? Much, much quicker from Kavisha Dilhari, and Gabby Lewis has played this on length rather than speed, because this came through much too quickly for this shot, and it's just cannoned off the hand of Anushka Sanjiwani there. I think no one was more relieved than Gabby Lewis as she ran down the non-striker's end that she didn't hear the death rattle of his stumps being clipped by the ball.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been too happy watching it back, would she, afterwards? You trudge back to the dugout and you watch the replay, especially on 47. And that's what we said. It's just what we were saying, isn't it? You come back after a drinks break, you've just that slight lapse in concentration. Got to get yourself back in. But I won't say it, but she is eyeing up.
Don't do it.
And that's well played. It's going to beat the fielder, and that brings up the 50 for Gabby Lewis. Brings it up with a boundary. It's been a glorious innings so far, this from the young opener. 51 coming off just 40 deliveries, and she was in good touch in the first game, and she's just built on that here today.
I'm sure that's something that they spoke about Ireland after the last game, that no batter that got set went on and made a big one. So this is reasonably big from Gabby Lewis, and she'll want to pile them on from here.
Little bit more flight there from Hilkari, and then again the misfield, and they're just giving away. They might not be giving away runs as extras, but in the field this is a bit of an issue today for Sri Lanka. 11 overs gone, 76 for 1.
Well, Gabby Lewis, she was looking a little bit nervous early on in her innings. We saw her find the fielder quite a lot. But in the end, she's found ways to score, and she's scored all around the ground. The 1-6 straight down over the bowler's head, just about reached, but you don't want to waste any space, do you? You don't want to waste any power. Why hit it too far over the boundary? Ones all around the ground, boundaries through the offside and backward of square, and then the 6. So an unusual one in women's cricket, and not really too much in front of square on the leg side.
And I think it just shows what a busy cricketer she is as well. You know, those ones to all areas, and the running between the wickets from these two has been really impressive. And then just the 1-6 as she took it on.
Kulasuri back on. A little bit of a misfield. They thought about taking on Amakanchana.
I think what's so exciting about this Sri Lankan side is, you know, we say it so much. A lot of the plaudits go to Chamari Atapattu, and you talk about Chamari and the Sri Lankan team. A little bit of hesitation from Gabby Lewis, but easy enough. Orla Prendergast is down this end already. And you talk about, you know, so often you hear Chamari Atapattu and the Sri Lankan team, but there is so much depth in this side, and you've seen a lot of them recently. We've seen it in the previous game. We saw what Harshita could do there. We saw what she could do in the Asia Cup final. And it's really exciting for them looking ahead to a T20 World Cup in just a couple of months' time. Lovely use of the feet there by Gabby Lewis. Fielder comes in and cuts it off just for one.
Yeah, well, you talk about depth, and obviously we've seen Harshita Samaravikrama, and we know about Anushka Sanjiwani because she used to open the batting. We've seen plenty of Dilhari, but we actually haven't seen much of their middle order. Pereira and De Silva are two of their best batters, actually.
Chipped up in the air, it's going to land just safe, and the spin sends it off to the left and eventually hits the boundary. Two fielders thought they might be in with a chance for a moment, and then it hit the ground and almost went off on a leg spin.
Yeah, lovely use of the bit of width there from Orla Prendergast. She got a little bit more bounce than she was expecting, I think, but she's danced down, and the extra bit of swing there helped lift it over the fielders in point and third. The other thing is that it kind of went between the two, so it wasn't really a chance. And actually, she got 10 yards on them. Didn't quite look like that from our angle. Just in front of us is where the ball hit the boundary rope. Oh, well, that's deft touch. Two boundaries, very, very different, but very, very good from Orla Prendergast. Just gets a tiny little edge from it, really frustrating for the wicketkeeper. It's back-to-back boundaries.
It's delightful, this. I can't think of any other word for it, really. Prendergast just, she can play with power if she wants, and that's the precision. Just past the outstretched right hand. Knows exactly where she's putting it. And reminding us that it's not just Gabby Lewis out there on the charge. It's been very busy behind square on the offside for these fielders the last few deliveries, but closes out 12 overs, 87 for 1.
It's been a great partnership. There's 67 runs from 47 deliveries, so going at a really good rate, these two. And they're really getting motoring now. 11 runs in that over. 42 runs off the last 5 overs. So those are really good numbers from Ireland, going at 8. And if these two can stick around for another couple of overs, they'll have a really good platform to launch. And I just wonder, might there be a change in the batting order? We don't know where Christina Coulter-Riley's going to slot in. Laura Delaney and Leah Pohl, more the type of engine room type batters. They're carded to come in at 4 and 5. Rebecca Stokel's generally the finisher. So you have to wonder, will she, 1 or 2 overs more, might she get jumped up the order? Because she looked really good the other day, 21 from just 15 deliveries. Gamhani back on.
Well, that's clubbed away. Not going to cut that off. 4 to open the over.
This is where the difference is from Sunday, because we have the two set batters still out there. A new bowler comes on, just slightly off her length, slightly too straight as well. Gabby Lewis gets into position nice and quickly and gets right through the shot. Just the little shuffle of the feet, gets herself set and makes sure she misses the fielder in the deep.
Gabby Lewis, 58. And again, pulled away. And again, that's going to be 4. Back-to-back boundaries to open this over as well. And Gabby Lewis moves into the 60s.
Well, a bit of pressure being applied by the Irish batters, and Sri Lankan bowlers being found somewhat wanting at this point in time. Too short again. And almost waited for that one, Gabby Lewis, to make sure that it got between the fielders once more. That one didn't give them a chance.
Well, this time she moves across, and you have to be quick here again. The throw poor in the end, and Orla Prendergast so quick between the wickets. She's already there and dealing with the stud underneath her shoe.
Well, I think she was absolutely miles out if that had hit. It was a really poor run from Gabby Lewis. But Orla Prendergast, the good partner she is, she just took one on the chin and hoped that it would miss, and it did.
And she looks to try and pull it away in the same style. Gabby Lewis opened up the over, not timed it, not got a hold of it. And they again come through for 1, gets Lewis back on strike.
She's got away with a couple there, Gamani. The third delivery, not too bad, but that one's short. And Orla Prendergast maybe just doesn't quite have the pace of the left arm wrist spinner yet. 9 4s and 1 6 in Gabby Lewis's innings so far.
And that'll pick out the fielder here along the ground. So this time, just 1. She's really enjoying that pull shot today, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, she's getting the length for it. When she's being put under pressure here, Gamani, she's just bowling quicker and quicker. I wonder, does she have it in her to maybe just slow it up and see?
Bit more flight this time, and really good running again from these two in the middle. Easily back for the second, and the 100 is up for Ireland after winning the toss and deciding to have a bat. 13 overs gone, they bring up their 100. And it's really good, this partnership between these two out in the middle. Gabby Lewis, the half century to her name, and just being kept company by Orla Prendergast nicely at the moment. And, well, it's a very different tale to that of just 2 days ago, isn't it, Celeste Rack?
It is, it isn't indeed. And we were trying to make predictions when these two were batting and talking about 160, 170. And then when the partnership was broken, it looked like a very different innings. So we can see a huge difference when these two are in. Ireland will want these two to be in for as many overs as possible. And when Gabby Lewis is in touch like this, it's very hard to stop her.
So 100 up, and just the one wicket to fall, that of Amy Hunter. She went for just 9 from 10, sort of gave away her wicket a little bit, and she'll be ruining the opportunity because they have some of them sat up to be hit out there today, and Gabby Lewis is really taking advantage of that.
She sure has, and we can see the real touch game of Orla Prendergast as well. She is well capable of hitting the ball straight and hard, but you can see where she's really shone is her deft touches behind square.
And that's well weighted from Lewis and well fielded. Nissan Sala off her own bowling. The left armour. It's World Left-Handers Day today. So, happy Left-Handers Day? Do you say that?
Oh, well, they seem to ruin a lot of cricketing lives for right-handers, so no, they are an important part of our game, and it's a great challenge for Ireland playing against Sri Lanka, who have so many of them up the top order, where Ireland, Leah Paul's the only one on pretty much the whole entire island. So, yeah, it's good for the girls to get some experience against the lefties.
That's well weighted again from Lewis, again picking out the fielder. Something I sometimes wonder about the development of the game and going forward. When you learn to field as a kid, should you just start doing everything left and right-handed, ambidextrous fielding?
There's a lot to say for it, Georgie. There really is. It's a great skill. You can see that. That's a great shot there from Lewis. That's a brilliant shot. You can see the last two balls that Nissan Sala has bowled nice and straight, stump to stump. It's a really tough line for Lewis to score off, but here she's preempted the ball's going to be that line. She's really used a crease well. She's sat back and she's hit that gap wide mid on there. So great thinking there from Lewis. Good use of the crease. And it showed that Nissan Sala, who's happy to just land the ball on the stumps nice and tight all day, is going to have to do something else.
Uses the feet again, Gabby Lewis. Not quite timed it. She's sort of rehearsing it as she's running down the pitch there.
Again, it's a tricky area to score off, so fair play to Nissan Sala for coming back with that attacking line, making Lewis play.
I think they'll be really happy to see this run rate in the Irish contingency up over 7.5, and two well set batters out in the middle, and then you can use the firepower in the engine room as you get towards the back end of the innings.
For sure, and from an Irish cricket perspective, these two have been invited to play in franchise competitions. They've played a lot of cricket around the world and would be regarded Ireland's premier two batters at the moment. So having them in for as much time as possible is essential for Ireland to put up a score that can really threaten teams like Sri Lanka, who have just won the Asia Cup.
Yeah, well, it's two teams in very different stages at the moment, isn't it? Ireland is sort of on a rebuild after not making that T20 World Cup, and Sri Lanka are really riding a wave of success at the moment. Into the pitch that time, pulled away, and that's going to be another 4 off the bat of Gabby Lewis.
Disappointing finish to the over there from Nissan Sala, who has kept everything so tight for the first 5 balls and just let the pressure off there, bowling bit too short, much shorter than what she intended to bowl. And Lewis has picked it up, and bowling to Gabby Lewis when she's in great form like this, you have to be so precise with your length.
And I think when she's a set batter as well, you know, we saw her, she stepped across really early with that last delivery. She's reading it so well now. At the beginning of her innings, it was a little bit scratchy. And once she got herself in, got herself set, got into the sort of late 20s, she's really just exploded from there.
That's right. And this is the Gabby Lewis we've seen when Ireland have been very successful in the past. She's essential to Ireland's top order. And it's great from an Irish perspective to see her out there showing everyone what she can do.
So, Anoshi Fernando.
Out of the back of the hand there from Fernando, first ball of the over. Hasn't fooled Prendergast, and it's kind of slid on a little bit on this wicket. We're yet to see a big turner today.
Yeah, the only big turner I've seen was the edge of Prendergast earlier.
In the outfield.
In the outfield. A little quicker, down on one knee to sweep it away. Not timed again there from Lewis. Come through for just a single. So Prendergast playing sort of the bridesmaid at the moment, you know, just keeping Gabby Lewis company. 28 of 23.
And you're right, Georgie. It is rare to see Ola Prendergast as the foil to the other batter. So she's playing a role well here, supporting Lewis, keeping the runs ticking over from her end. And it's been the partnership they were really looking for yesterday.
Gabby Lewis just backing away. She's spotted something. It might be the huge gust of wind, perhaps, is having an effect. Again, it's quite quick through the air here from Fernando. I'll come back for a second. And you wonder at this point what Sri Lanka will be thinking. How can we make this change? You know, we did it just 2 days ago, and this is complete change of circumstances now. Yeah. How are they going to break this partnership? Because it never got to a stage like this with a partnership on Sunday.
And you're right, we haven't really seen any bowler look particularly threatening to them or try anything different. Gimhani went quicker and quicker and quicker, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing to execute there, and that it wasn't to great effect with these 2 last over that she bowled. They're looking very comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think you talk about the getting quicker and quicker. I think that's something you see quite a lot in the men's game with pace bowlers. You know, they just go, right, if I can just bowl it faster and faster and faster, that's going to make a change. And actually, that's when the mistakes start to really creep in at that point, because actually you're just trying to do one thing, and if it doesn't come off, then it goes a bit wild.
Definitely, and spinners, if you're a 5'5" spinner bowling on a relatively slow wicket compared to other wickets in the world, you can't just fire the ball into the pitch. It's really hard to hit that length as a women's bowler. So in women's cricket, the way of containing batters is much different.
So another 5 overs to come. So 15 gone, 118 for 1 on the board. Gabby Lewis, 77 from 55. Really nice looking strike rate there. And Ola Prendergast keeping her company, 31 from 25 to her. So this partnership, well, has been the absolute backbone to this Irish innings. Just the 1 wicket to fall, that of Amy Hunter. She went for 9. And they do know that they have some firepower still in the dugout, should it need to come in the last few overs if either of these were to fall.
Interesting there. It's not a wide. hasn't got a touch on it. Very slim margin there from both the stumps and the bat. But no, you're right in that. Yeah, it's a very different innings from Ireland here. But yesterday, Sri Lanka passing their total with in the 17th over.
It's another 4 to Gabby Lewis. And brings up the 100 partnership. These two really impressive. 102 from just 67 balls. And Gabby Lewis on just 70. Could she be eyeing up the 3 figures? When do you start worrying?
Oh, well, I think I'm always thinking of it fairly early.
As you walk out to bat?
Not when I'm batting personally. When I'm watching Gabby Lewis on form, never when I'm batting. Highest score of 105, Gabby Lewis.
Well, that had some pace on it, the full toss.
And she scored one T20 international 100 in a career. I seem to recall it was against the Netherlands, where she was extremely dominant. But to do it against the opposition of this calibre after having lost the day previous would be some achievement now.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No.
She's into the edgy 80s, the nervous 90s. I don't know what you call them at this point, but
no doubt what Lewis will be thinking of right now is that they're on 122 after 15.4, and that they, even despite putting a reasonable score on the board on Sunday, Sri Lanka were very easily able to chase it down in the 17th. So how many is enough will be the question that's in Lewis's mind.
yeah, there's no such thing as too many, I can tell you that one. So 123 gives herself room over backward point, and it picks up another 4.
And that is such a typical Orla Prendergast shot when she's in great touch. She can hit all around the ground, and you see here she's backed away, created a little bit of room there, and got around the ball. Where the bowler has been bowling quite straight all day, she's been managed to get that straight over the offside, nice and square.
They just don't seem to have an answer for these two at the moment, do they, the Sri Lankan bowlers?
No, it's been a real challenge for them to have something to come back with.
And that's some good pace. Prendergast feels like she's missed out there. And you see she rocks her head back. Managed to somehow avoid finding the outside edge. So 9 from that over, 16 gone, 127 for 1. And look at this. Well, it looks like we're building skyscrapers. Just the one small over, that the 4th, and then brought around the pressure that saw the end of Amy Hunter, but then just got taller and taller and taller. And really impressive striking from these two out in the middle. The partnership over 100 now, as Ireland are looking to set a hefty total here. So 4 overs still to come. Already 127 for 1 on the board. Gabby Lewis 82 from 59 for the opener.
And with the regular bowling changes, it still hasn't been easy for them out there, Sri Lanka, find a solution to this partnership.
Kavisha Dilhari with the ball in hand, just directing traffic. That little prance. And nicely played off the back foot by Lewis, who picks up just 1. Well, uses their feet. Orla Prendergast almost managed to find herself an outside edge. And in the end, she was followed by Gilhari. And there's a wide signal. So 1 more to the total, and I have to go back and do that again.
We can see the consistency of the Sri Lankan bowlers. It's been not quite of the same standard as Sunday.
Well, a lovely bit of innovation, and falls just short of the fielder, but Ola Prendergast is having a bit of a play here. So Gabby Lewis to face up on 83. And she does have that 105 not out to her name, but that was against Germany, her highest score.
I got my trivia wrong.
Against a full member nation. Until today, it was actually a 71 she made against Pakistan back in 2022. So this is her highest score against a full member nation.
Brilliant. I don't know where it pulled the Netherlands from. It must have been a 50-over game.
It's the orange. It plays with your mind.
Must be, yeah. Northern Europe.
And talking of playing with your mind, we were talking about how tight Sri Lanka had been. In the first game, just conceded the 5 extras. And it took a long time for them to concede their first. And now we've had 2 wides in this over alone.
And I was just touching on it last over, in that the consistency of the bowling was brilliant on Sunday, and as that goes for 4 there, past the infield through backward point there, we can see that the bowling consistency just isn't of quite the same standard today now that the pressure's been put back on Sri Lanka.
So this from Lewis, really nicely played. The first misfield, and then that slowed it down somewhat, and then the fielder does well to try and get round, and in the end, there's just too much on it. It's that quick outfield, and Gabby Lewis moves on to 87.
Yeah, these shorter and wider deliveries were just not something that we saw when the pressure was off.
That's almost copy and paste positioning from Lewis. She moves on to 88. Yeah, proving to be an expensive over, this one.
And again, gone very wide there, but managed to get out of the over with just the 1.
So 17 overs gone, 137 for 1 on the board. Remember, they made 145 batting first in the first game. And actually, I can admit I was somewhat surprised that when they won the toss today, Laura Delaney decided they wanted to have a bat first after the decision, after what happened on Sunday. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, of the 2 skill sets, if Ireland do well with the bat, it is their stronger of the 2 at the moment. I think having seen how comprehensive that batting innings was for Sri Lanka last game, perhaps posting a big total and putting them under pressure to chase is what they were planning on doing. Would you have had the same thoughts?
Well, I think that's exactly what Laura Delaney was saying, that they feel confident in a big score up top. I mean, they may not have predicted quite a partnership like this. As Prendergast picks up another to her name. So Gabby Lewis facing up on 88 from 63.
In a lot of the Ireland wins that they've had, historic wins against really strong full member nations, it has been these 2 that have really contributed, and Laura Delaney often as well supporting.
Love the use of the feet, and again the misfield makes it easy for them to come through for 1. Made a lovely noise off the bat, but Gabby Lewis just rehearsing the shot there. Didn't feel like she quite got a hold of it.
Singles aren't enough when you're on 89. She's been striking them very well.
Well, that's gone up very, very high from Prendergast. Fielder sets herself under it and takes it. And finally, the partnership is broken.
It's a very handy catch there out in the deep. It's a very windy day here. That sat up in the air forever. And we can see here Prendergast is set up to hit it over the leg side, and it's just hit a little bit too high on the bat there. She hasn't got all of it. It's usually a real area of strength for Prendergast. But that brings to end a very strong partnership for Ireland and the end of a great innings from Prendergast. We were discussing earlier, Georgie, whether we were going to see a change of order. And Rebecca Stokel is the known finisher for Ireland. She has long levers, she hits very hard straight, and she was typically coming in at 6, but they've bumped her ahead of Laura Delaney and of Leah Paul.
Yeah, I really like this change. She was really integral to getting them up to that 145 on Sunday night. Some big hitting just down the order. She just came out and stand and deliver, really.
She's exactly who you want in this situation.
And you sort of think in the back of her mind as well as would be thinking, am I going to go for the big striking or am I going to try and get Gabby Lewis back on strike?
It's a good question, but I think what she'll do is just read the delivery. If it's in her arc, she'll certainly go, but if it's not, she'll look to do exactly that and get Gabby Lewis on strike. Much easier to come in when someone's 89 off 64 batting with you.
Yeah, and you just got over 2 overs to play with, and she knows what her role is. And that's just picked out the gap. I think they're going to settle for 1 here. They are. Those pigeons are having quite a day, aren't they?
They are
disturbed in all directions.
You think they'd learn not to stand out in the middle here?
So Lewis into the 90s. Not quite timed this from Stokel. And finds herself, she retains the strike. So 18 overs gone, 142 for 2. Gabby Lewis been out there since the beginning, 90 from 65 to her name. Remember, Ireland, they won the toss and they did decide to have a bat first, which a few of us questioned, but I think we can eat our words now.
Yeah, definitely. It's the option that gives them the best chance to put the pressure on Sri Lanka, and we've seen in response Sri Lanka have made a few more mistakes today, both with the ball and in field, and have often at times looked like they didn't have a huge amount of answers to attack this partnership.
Well, Kanchana with the headband on to bowl the crucial 19th over.
Very important over indeed.
And that's, well, Stokel just using her levers. She'll just pick up 1 here, brings Gabby Lewis back on strike.
You can't help but think that every single run counts at this phase of the game. How often does the T20s come down to the last over and 1 or 2 runs are the difference? So they'll be running hard and looking for every single possibility to score runs here, get the highest score on the board they can.
Full toss, just dug out by Lewis, and they're going to think about coming back for a second. Yeah, easy in the end. Again, that misfield, and it's De Silva out on the boundary, and they pick up 2, and Lewis moves on to 92.
And this part of the innings, we often see what's possible with the running. Things that we didn't really expect were possible earlier in the match. With the fielders, with the batters really taking on the fielders, they'll be looking for 2s every time they hit the ball down the ground.
Full toss, given the treatment, and he goes all the way. And Gabby Lewis picks up 6 and moves herself on to 98. She is not hanging about. Nervous 90s, what are they?
And what a shot here from Lewis. She's ended up getting the full toss that she's been waiting for, extending the arms and sending it into the crowd on the Pembroke wall.
Lewis on 98 just surveys the field.
Yeah, there's a silence that's fallen over the ground right now.
And that is it. Gabby Lewis brings up her 100. She holds her arms aloft. She gives Rebecca Stokel a hug. And everyone around Pembroke is on their feet. She lifts her helmet and her bat, points to the crowd. Her family are out here. And what a knock this has been from the young opener. 102 from just 68 deliveries. And it puts her in some fine company. Only 4 centuries have been scored in T20s against Sri Lanka. And Gabby Lewis now joins the likes of Alyssa Healy, Beth Mooney, Deandra Dottin and Laura Woolvart. And what a knock this has been from her today. She's never looked uncomfortable. She's never looked in trouble. And it has just been sublime from start to finish.
What a brilliant innings from Lewis. You can see what it means to her there. Look at the reaction. She loves playing for her country.
And that's just delightful. There is a fielder out there going to cut it off, but a straight drive to just back up, scoring your maiden T20 100 against a full member nation.
It's brilliant from Lewis, and great running there from Lewis and Stokel to turn it around and keep the in-form Lewis on strike.
Full toss, given the treatment, fielder, really good effort. In the end, puts it down. It was too much concentration on sort of not stepping on the boundary rope. And in the end, well, she survives. And you would think perhaps the wheels might need a little bit of oiling or screwing up a little bit, because they seem to be coming off a bit for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very clinical performance on Sunday, and we're starting to see, as you say, the wheels falling off. But that is all in largely due to this woman, Gabby Lewis, who has challenged them all day.
So one more over to come. 158 for 2 on the board. It's already 13 more than they managed just 2 days ago. And what a change around this has been. Steps back in her crease, stand and deliver, back over the bowler's head. And Gabby Lewis is not slowing down with the finish line in sight. There was no such thing really as the nervous 90s for her today.
No, not for Gabby Lewis, and she's created space back in the crease there, and she loves going over wide mid-off. It's a huge area for her. Those of us that have played against her in club cricket for years have been punished through there over and over.
This time steps across, clubs it into the leg side, back-to-back boundaries to start the 20th over.
It's so hard to bowl to someone who's on 113 off 72. And as you can see here, Gabby Lewis has stepped across, created a huge amount of room and hit that vacant square leg area. Should have had that in her mind before the ball was bowled and got herself into a great position to hit the ball over there. And as we see, a change to the field, which has been something we've seen ongoing over these 2 matches for Sri Lanka, a bit of a reactive field change.
So 4 still to come. Lewis 113. This time crunched and well stopped at extra cover. Diving stop there by Kanchana, the all-rounder coming in today. Her first match. Wasn't part of the team that won on Sunday. And Sri Lanka making those 2 changes and saying they just like to give everyone a shot and figure out what really is their best team.
And you're right, they've got a lot of cricket coming up, and these games are really about preparing for that and seeing who is their best 11. It's a competitive one to get into at the moment.
Very. So 2 deliveries still to come, 168 on the board. Gabby Lewis again surveys the field, that blonde ponytail just sticking out. And that's well dug out and has pierced that gap. There could only have been 2-3 yards between those 2 fielders, and she's bisected it perfectly.
Isn't this the shot of someone who was on 114 and has been batting for nearly 20 overs? If anyone tries that first ball of the innings, there's no way they're getting away with it. Gabby Lewis here has played with one knee on the ground, head straight over the ball and pierced the gap, as Georgie said, that was so small.
Well, there's a misfield again, and they're going to think about coming back for the second. And Gabby Lewis going to have to get her skates on, and she's been run out off the final delivery. And actually, I think she was somewhat sold down the river by Rebecca Stokel. So it won't be a red inker for Gabby Lewis, but I don't think she'll be too worried. She finishes, she's out for 118 off the very final delivery. What do they say? Don't run on a misfield.
Oh, well, that's it. But Gabby Lewis, her highest career score in international cricket against any country. And certainly one that she'll remember forever.
Yeah, everyone's standing to applaud that knock from the opener. And Rebecca Stokel just letting her walk off in front of her. What a knock. 119 from 75 from Gabby Lewis. And so Ireland, they put 173 for 3 on the board from their 20 overs. Well, Amy Hunter, she went early, and then there was that partnership between Gabby Lewis and Orla Prendergast, the 100 partnership, and that really dug in and did the damage. And then Rebecca Stokel just had to come in at the end and keep Gabby Lewis company, watched her go to 100. And in the end, Gabby Lewis run out off the very last delivery.
And you can see here she's scored her runs all around the ground. And that is the danger of Lewis. Not only is she able to hit in front of the wicket where her 2 sixes were, or where one of her sixes was, but she can also hit behind point. She can hit to 45. And that's a truly brilliant innings there when you can see runs all around the ground.
Well, a difficult day for the Sri Lankan bowlers today, which is a complete contrast to 2 days ago. Nissan Sala going at 10.3, and just the 2 wickets picked up from bowlers. Kulasuriya, the 1 wicket for her, but still going at 9, and Gimani coming in today picks up 1 and still going at 8 and over. So the economy rates not the best for the Sri Lankan bowlers today.
And as we can see there, Gabby Lewis, the star of the day with her 119 off 75. Orla Prendergast supported her really well with 38. And a tough day for the Sri Lankan bowlers. Gimhani ended up taking a wicket, and so did Kulasuriya, but no wickets for the remainder of the bowlers. 173 for 3, the final score. And we'll resume play at 5:31 p.m. So stay with us, and we'll be resuming shortly.
Welcome back to Pembroke Cricket Club. Well, we've had a treat of a first innings here. Ireland batted fantastically well as they won the toss and elected to bat first. It was shown to be a very good decision by Ireland skipper Laura Delaney. 173 for 3 was the total that they amassed. And that was largely off the bat of Gabby Lewis. She was run out off the final delivery, and I think she'll have a word to say with her partner Rebecca Stokel about that. But she made 119 in just 75 deliveries to help Ireland get to 173 for 3. Highest total for an Irish women's team in T20Is on Irish soil. Previous best 160. That was in Malahide a couple of years ago against Netherlands. Well, for all these stats, I do have to say thank you so much to Ger Siggins, who's keeping us up to date with all things stats-wise. Well, it's one thing to score a big total like that and another one to defend it, and that's what Ireland will be trying to do. I'm Isabel Joyce, and alongside me, Georgie Heath, who was watching along for much of that innings, and it was very exciting to watch from the background as well. Well, Sri Lanka, though, they are a brave young team. They've overcome India very recently in the Asia Cup final. They won't be cowed by a total of 173 by Ireland, and I think they'll back themselves to chase it down, and especially since they did so very comfortably on Sunday when they chased down Ireland's target of 145 with ease. They did it with plenty of balls remaining as well. Freya Sargent with the new ball. Vishmi Gunaratne gets into her work straight away. She's opening the batting, faces the first delivery.
Yeah, she was impressive on Sunday night, 30 from 34 for her. She hit one of those big sixes, but it was a very different tale, I guess, for the Sri Lankan side just 2 days ago. Target of 145, and alongside Harshita, they really sort of broke the back of that chase, didn't they? But I think the Irish team, they'll really have their tails up, voices up. They'll be feeling really confident coming off the back of that performance with the bat today.
Yeah, Harshita is the batter that will be facing up now, the left-hander. A few changes in the field. Finds the fielder in extra cover, Gabby Lewis, who's I'm sure will be desperate to win this game, having scored so many of the runs that they're defending. It's one thing to score a century, but it's another one to actually win the game. Well, 2 straight, just lifted over square leg. We talked about a player in form and the kinds of shots that Gabby Lewis was playing at the end of her innings. There's the shot of someone in form, just leans back, lifts it over square leg, 4 runs.
Yeah, it just sat up easy enough for her, didn't it? Just had to swing across the line, down on one knee, and there's no fielder there. Just a couple of bounces out to that Sri Lankan flag.
2 fielders in the deep are deep mid-wicket and long on. Oh, that's beautifully bowled. She is a spinner who actually does try to make it turn, which I know sounds odd, but in T20 cricket so often we see them just all about line and length and changing of pace. But she is someone who can turn the ball away from the left-hander, so useful to have in the power play against a batter like Harshita Samaravikrama. Changes in the team today. They've got Jane Maguire in, so it's another option to bowl in the power play. I'm sure we'll see her. Christina Coulter-Riley got her debut cap today, didn't manage to bat. She's also training on her wicket-keeping, but it's her fielding where she'll have to show everyone what she's made of today. Too short. Well, this will be easy pickings for Harshita Samaravikrama. Disappointing after a couple of dots to go for a boundary. The first over closes out with a 4 as Harshita Samaravikrama helps herself to her second boundary of the day.
Yeah, and this is just the start that Sri Lanka would have wanted. You know, they would have felt a little disappointed in some of their bowling today. They maybe gave away some runs. There was some misfields. Some of the bowling wasn't quite up to what it was, and trying to take on the batting of Gabby Lewis today. But if they can come out and start positively, 9 off the first over, it really sort of can put the mute button almost on the Irish support and the Irish players. And we can already hear the Sri Lankan fans that are here, of which there are a lot again today, just getting their voices up, getting excited. And they're only 1 over into this chase, but they have 2 batters out in the middle who are in very good nick.
No overcanning for the second over. Orla Prendergast will take the new ball. Starts off with a short one and down leg side as well. Mark Hawthorne raising the arms. She doesn't want to be too wide to start. She did go for runs through third in that opening game.
She was unlucky at times as well. It just, because of the pace she's got, it just happened to find the edge. And when it finds the edge, it was going to race away and there was not a lot they could do to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things, like, it's great to have all the pace in the world, but actually the ball just travels when you have that pace. A top edge chance. Fielder coming underneath it. Leah Paul takes the catch, and that's the breakthrough that Ireland will have wanted. One of the two openers they wanted to get out early, it was Vishmi Gunaratne, who didn't quite make the right connection. It was never an easy one, those ones swirling in point, but she kept her eye on at Leah Paul and made sure, wrapped her fingers around, and Sri Lanka have lost their first. Vishmi Gunaratne goes for 1 from 2, Sri Lanka 10 for 1.
Well, this is just what Ireland would want, an expensive first over and then just find that bottom edge. And it seemed to hang in the air for a long time. And in the end, she took it very low, right down by her knees. So sort of that decision between the fingers up, fingers down. Are we going to go the traditional way or the Australian way? And I guess it didn't matter which way as long as it stayed in.
Yeah, well, that's what I try and tell people when I'm coaching them. Do all the technique and training. When it comes to the game, hopefully the body just does what it's supposed to, but whatever you do, just make sure it doesn't touch the ground. It doesn't matter what way you catch it. Leah Paul is one of those fielders that she just backs herself to take those catches, to take any catch. She has that confidence in the field. So she's someone that you would have been hoping would be settling underneath. Slip in. Gap just not found there as the new batter coming in, Hassini Pereira. Hassini Pereira, one of the players I was talking about earlier in the day, because we haven't really seen much of the middle order for Sri Lanka in the last few months. Their top order really doing the bulk of the damage. She generally comes in at 5-6, especially in place of Harshita Samaravikrama, because she's the other left-hander, but they're elevating her up the order to give her some time out in the middle. She's normally a finisher, very good at making a 20 from 12, or going out better than a run of ball when you want to elevate your score at the back end. But she's been promoted to number 3. Usually Samara Vikrama is in number 3, and we see Chamari Atapatu at the top, so they've had to do some shuffling.
Well, it came off in the first game, didn't it? For Harshita Samaravikrama.
I'm really interested to see who bowls the next over, because Jane Maguire is in the team today. She generally takes 1 or 2 of the 6 at the top. That one just hurrying Samara Vikrama there. She thought about playing a pull shot, and do you reckon that was a leave in the end?
I think if you asked her, she would say yes.
What about the bowler?
The bowler is saying she's beaten the bat. So, the best of both worlds for everyone. Everyone's happy.
Or nobody is. Slip in place for the left-handers. Gabby Lewis is getting a rest in there. Slashed away, finds the fielder again. No real pace being put behind that ball, just going into their shells a little bit here, Sri Lanka. A couple of quiet overs will be very, very handy for Ireland here, as they're defending their highest ever total in Ireland.
I think that's what you want as well. You want to put that pressure on early. You so often talk about it, how building pressure, build dots bring wickets. And so if you can slow the scoring, they know they've got to make 174. They've already lost one of their big hitters up the top. And like you say, the middle order haven't really had a chance to bat. Yes, they are some of their best batters, but if you haven't had time out in the middle, it's very different to time in the nets.
Absolutely spot on. 2 overs gone, 12-4-1. If you didn't manage to catch the action on Sunday, Sri Lanka won the opening game of this Sirta Women's T20I series. It's only a 2-match series, so if Ireland can tie things up, they'll come out even at the end of the series. But we do have a 3-match ODI series coming up, so there will be a champion in that, barring a tie in one or all 3 of the matches. I was going to say 1 or 2, but if there was 2, there'd be a winner, wouldn't there? Jane Maguire, the bowler who'd been left out, and someone who being left out showed the depth within the squad, because she's definitely someone you'd expect to be in the T20 squad for Ireland. Bowles swings the ball into the left-hander. Starts off really well. Third and fine out. I think that someone like Jane Maguire coming back in, she's replaced Cara Murray, who, a very different type of bowler. She's a leg spinner. But her being brought back in and then trying to prove herself to retain her spot, is that a good kind of pressure, do you think, Georgie?
It's tricky, isn't it? But I guess that pressure has been released slightly, perhaps by the total that's been posted.
Well, was that a chance? Amy Hunter has the gloves behind. I'm not sure what that came of, but there was a definite sound as Harshita Samaravikrama decided to try and lift the ball over the wicketkeeper's head. Definitely the sign of a shot of someone in form, because third and fine are out, so she backed herself to get it over the wicketkeeper. Oh, it was a chance. Really difficult one, but I think it did reach Amy Hunter. Is this another chance? No, just about has the legs to make it over Christina Coulter-Riley's head in fine leg. Just a little bit too straight from Jane Maguire. Couple of dots, the chance goes down, and Harshita Samaravikrama makes them pay.
Yeah, and this is difficult as well. You're just saying, is this good pressure for her to be feeling? And then she has one that perhaps should have been taken. And then this next one, just sort of rubbing salt in the wounds, helps it on its way. And I think we were more likely to catch that in the commentary position than anyone on the field.
Well, that's Foxter, definitely. Samaravikrama just let go of the bat with the bottom hand as that one takes the edge and goes to third. It is funny talking about the commentary position, isn't it? You're not really sure what to call it when you're in a bit of a tent on the side of the field. That's where we are. We're at ground level, just about at fine leg as you're looking at the batter. But it is a beautiful view here.
The pyramid stage, we could call ourselves that, like we're at Glastonbury.
Oh, right up in the block hole. They're going to take it on. Well, Amy Hunter, can she hit? She does. Questions asked. Not out, says Mark Hawthorne. Well, the angle not great from here, but I think it was a question asked rather in hope than in expectation.
But actually, this is a really good piece of work, this from Amy Hunter. She gets across really quickly, and she sort of takes that split-second decision, one stump to aim at. It's almost like you're playing one of those games in the garden when you're trying to throw at a stick in the middle.
I don't know what games you were playing growing up. I didn't throw the...
Oh, it's always
throw the ball
wooden
at the one
things
stick.
with balls throwing at and quoits over things. I think
This must be an English thing, is it?
kind of things we dug out of my northern grandma's attic, Play with this, no electricals.
Sounds like the next thing that's going to be in the Olympics. So a sharp chance at the non-striker's end. A good pick up and throw, but it was an easy single in the end to close out an eventful third over. The 6 and 2 singles in it after 3:20 for 1.
Well, you mentioned the Olympics. Obviously, that's a really exciting prospect, especially for some of the young players here, because 4 years' time, cricket's going to be in that Olympics. I think it's the top 8 sides in the world would be part of that.
I think it's 8. I had 6 in my head, but those guys will be hoping that they can travel over to those Olympics in LA, supporting their men's and or their women's teams. Currently, Sri Lanka 7th in the world in T20s. I'm sure they're going to move up the rankings. They'll be hoping to anyway come that World Cup in Bangladesh. And Ireland as well, they'll have to do a bit more work to get up the rankings, currently in 10th, but it's still an outside chance for them to get to that World Cup, or in that Olympics in 4 years. Bowler Prendergast bowling her second over. Just knocking it around there, Hasini Pereira.
Well, you feel with these two, they've got to try and build a partnership here. We always talk about building a foundation, building a partnership, but Ola Prendergast is bowling. It's really tight at the moment. She's keeping them quiet, keeping them honest, and they're going to have to, at some point, try and take it on, because that run rate is just going to start pushing up and up. We're up over 9 already.
Well, it's a loose-ish ball, but a looser shot, full and wide. I think she wasn't expecting that, Samaravikrama. played with any great conviction. The space was there on the offside if she had thrown the hands at it properly, because the 5 fielders on the offside are inside the ring. Fine leg and square leg are the 2 fielders out, which is a little bit of a head scratcher for me, considering Orla Prendergast moves the ball away from the left-hander. She's bowling around the wicket at the left-handers though, so presumably looking to angle it in. And she does do it that time. They're taking on Laura Delaney in mid-on, who scampers through, had to hit but wasn't quite on line. It's been a bit of a theme this game, hasn't it, from both teams, hitting the ball to mid-off or mid-on and run.
Yeah, tip and run. I mean, well, maybe we won't mention the running bit to Gabby Lewis at the end, but I think she'll probably be less worried about that than the fact that she's just scored a hefty 100 today, but being run out off the last ball of the innings. Does that taint it at all?
Especially since there was no chance of a 2. Like, you always want every single run, but there was no chance of a 2 there, so it was a bit of a gift. A very expansive looking shot, misfield from Ava Canning. She was dealing with that artificial surface. Leah Paul runs after. No one goes with her though, so they will come back for 3. That's really poor from Ireland. Should really be hunting in pairs there. Ava Canning just looks like she's done herself a bit of damage, but yeah, it can be difficult when the ball hits the lip. You're afraid it's going to pop up.
Yeah, the confusion from everyone, and then ended up scouting out on her own, accompanied by the birds. Does really well to cut it off in the end. I think the rest of the Irish team just had sort of resigned themselves to it being a boundary.
Well, beautifully bowled. Looking to take off there Harshita Samaravikrama, but fielders on the offside doing their job. Yeah, it was really disappointing because actually Ava Canning, well, she misfielded, and often you see a misfield, you're diving, so you can't really get up and run after the ball. But she hadn't actually, so she could have turned around and run after. Gabby Lewis was in extra cover. She's not really the one you're expecting to run at this point after having batted the whole 20 overs. A little bit of extra bounce, too close as well. So that was an excellent over from Orla Prendergast. The little blemish of the 3 that really should have been a dot. 5 from it, 4 done, 25 for 1. Ava Canning will bowl her first over of the day. She was a little bit expensive, wasn't she, in that first game?
Yeah, not the best day out for her on Sunday, but time to come and make amends for it today. And there's umpire Sue out in the middle, one of the big names in world umpiring at the moment, a trailblazer as it comes to female umpires. It's a really exciting prospect, more of those coming through the ranks, coming through, because showing that there's opportunities for women and girls in all areas.
Yeah, well, it's something that we've been talking about in the commentary box, isn't it? All female crew for this Searcher Women's T20I series. So great to see Sue over here. Ava Canning not for 21 in her 2 overs on Sunday. Vacant space on the leg side, and unfortunately for her, goes for 4 off her first delivery. Hasini Pereira liked what she saw, and she's got her innings up and running with that one.
Yeah, this is a really tricky start after having a poor game just 2 days ago. It's just in the slot, really, down on one knee. There's no fielder anywhere near that, just the one bounce.
Well, she had bowled around the wicket on that occasion. She's deciding to bowl over the wicket. Has cover out and deep mid-wicket. So change in angle means that the sight screen has to be moved. That's the reason for the pause and play there. Great to see all the younger girls from around Sandymount operating the sight screens and getting rid of the hoarding there, that black draping that's over the hoarding in the background. They have to do that every over. They should bring it over and bring it back. So our thanks to them for their great work. Much better, but a chance gone. The change of angle works for Ava Canning, pushes across Hasini Pereira, who looks to double up on her boundaries, but all she could do was find the edge. Question asked, and Sue Redfern raises the dreaded finger. Hasini Pereira goes for 10. Sri Lanka lose their second, 29 for 2.
Well, that is just what Ava Canning would have needed to sort of make herself feel a little more confident. Struggled in the first game and then getting hit for that boundary the very first ball. It almost felt like, oh no, here we go again. But just finding that edge, as you say, the change of angle to the left-hander. Just feeling for it and well taken in the end by Emmy Hunter. The quick reactions behind the stumps. I'm always so in awe of how quick these keepers can be.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, do they stand up so they don't have to move their feet as much? But that's probably not really true to with the challenge that's on. No foot movement there from Pereira. She literally just stood in her stance and threw the hands at it. Kavisha Dilhari out at number 4. Didn't score too heavily in the first game. Just the 9. Good fielding off her own bowling. She's up and about now, Ava Canning. Swings the ball in prodigiously. She gets movement through the air, but also angles the ball in. If you watch now, next delivery, she bowls from really right at the edge of the playing surface at the popping crease. Yeah, really good. Great start. After that 4 from her first delivery, she's been on the money. And the wicket down. So one of the things I find, Georgie, about changing the changing the order up. Yes, you want to give people an opportunity, but all of a sudden it's alien conditions. You're not used to being up, say, for Hosseini Pereira, being inside the power play. Having the fielders all in the ring. You think, great, I can hit it over them, but if you're not used to it, it can be difficult.
Yeah, and I think also it's about who you're batting with as well. Sometimes if you normally come in much lower down and you're suddenly batting alongside someone who's an opener, who is actually only just opening today because someone else isn't here, it does all get a bit mixed around. And yes, you could, I guess, be batting with anyone on any day. But then you find yourself alien conditions, alien fielding conditions, and then with someone that you're not that used to running with, and we know how important that communication is, and sometimes that sort of telepathy with running between the wickets it's one more thing to add to your box of confusions.
A box of confusions. I like that phrase. Well, 5 overs gone, 29 for 2 now, Sri Lanka, so not having it all their own way. And Ireland, with that total, every single over, they don't make 10 runs. Sri Lanka, that required run rate is moving up. So they're almost at 10 runs required an over now, Sri Lanka. Current run rate just below 6. Jay Maguire will close out the power play.
Love to see how many fans and supporters are all in here on what even day of the week is it? Tuesday, on a Tuesday evening. Lovely, glorious evening here. Both Irish and Sri Lankan fans, flags waving. I can't quite hear the drums or the trumpet at the moment from Sri Lankan fans.
They're being kept quiet by Ireland. Ava Canning does much better that time. I love to see that from a fielder. Don't let one mistake define your fielding innings.
And I think what I really like is it's almost identical. You know, she's gone, I'm showing you I can do it. This is what happened last time, but this time I'm on the artificial pitch. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And actually, I think that one was even more difficult because she had to dive to the side, didn't she? She does take pride in her fielding, Ava Canning. She's done really well there. A little shorter delivery from Jay Maguire. Good movement off her own bowling. So 2 dots to start out the final over the power play. And do you think it's something where Harshita Samaravikrama will want to make use of the final 4 deliveries where she only has 2 fielders out? The great and the good here in the background. Good to see Richard Holsworth in the background there, and the great Rangan, Sri Lankan supporter of Irish cricket in Ireland. Slower delivery. She'll do that a lot, Jane Maguire. She'll roll the fingers over. And something that Ireland weren't too good at on Sunday was backing up with Laura Delaney in perfect position there to make sure that the throw, even if it wasn't on target, was going to be collected.
Yeah, that throw coming in from Gabby Lewis, who has already batted for 20 overs, but doesn't seem at all tired. She's running around. She was in at slip for a while. I think if you put me at slip after batting for 20 overs, you'd have to get some WD-40 and oil my knees so I could stand up again.
A little shuffle down the pitch from Kavisha Dilhari. Well, she's thinking about taking a run. Jane Maguire, well, I think she did the right thing there, throwing at the stumps. I think if she'd hit, it could have been curtains for Dilhari. Just about not on target, and Amy Hunter had to wear one.
Yeah, it was a very strange run, actually, in the end, because Dilhari ended up on her stomach, and Samara Vikrama decided that she wanted to take the run still, while her batting partner is sort of prostrate on the floor. She thought about setting off, dives to get back in, is lying on the floor in half push-up position, and she's like, come on, get running. It's 22 yards.
Well, in the background there, it was a poor delivery to follow it up by Jane Maguire. Too short, a little bit leg side. Samara Vikrama managed to get it backwards of the fielder in the deep. Gabby Lewis, a despairing dive, but couldn't reel it in, and the cheer from the deep. Well, it was a difficult one to... I was actually Rebecca Stokel in the deep there, so she'll be disappointed, I think, with that effort. It took an awkward bounce, but she would expect herself to collect that one.
That run rate, you can see, is just pushing up towards 10. Currently going at 6. And the one delivery to come inside the power play still. 6 already off this over.
Little shuffle down. Tries to change the length. They won't run on the misfield. So the power play is finished with that dot. Just the 4 and 2 singles in that Jane Maguire over. The power play finishes for Sri Lanka 35 for 2.
Yeah, so power play done, 35 for 2 on the board. Well, they have still got their in-form batter out in the middle, Samara Vikrama. She obviously was player of the match in the previous game, saw them home with plenty of time to spare on a Sunday evening. But it's a very different tale here. Target 174. It's very different to the 145 that was put up by Ireland on Sunday. As Izzy Joyce slides elegantly out of the chair next to me, and Celeste Rack slides elegantly in. And it just be one off that, and think about the backing up. They think about coming back for a second and decide against it. And they won't mind ones at the moment. Ava Canning picking up that 1 wicket already. And just keep a lid on this run scoring, really. You don't want to start letting the boundaries sort of seep into this. That run rate pushing up towards 10 at 9.98 now.
I'll be happy to see that continue to creep up and put the pressure on Samara Vikrama.
Yeah, pulled away. And again, fielder comes in off the boundary and cuts it off to make it just 1.
The running between wickets has been a lot more intent from Sri Lanka this time around. You can see with the required run rate creeping up higher and higher, intent to run those singles to mid-on and mid-off is certainly there where it wasn't necessarily on Sunday.
Yeah, no timing really there from Dilhari. Just hits it straight into the ground, and that'll be another dot. And once you start racking up those dots, they're going to start putting the pressure on. They're going to have to try and sort of take a few more risks, Sri Lanka, because otherwise it's just going to get away from them, and they're just going to sort of be plodding along, trudging through custard.
Canning bowls a difficult length, and she gets quite a lot of bounce from her 6 foot of height. She can be a tricky customer when she's moving the ball in and hitting that hard length.
And it's a good bit of fielding in the end, but the wide signal by Sue Redfern, so they won't mind that, Sri Lanka. Every run at the moment
And the debutante there, Christina Coulter-Riley at third. She's been donning the gloves this season a lot of the time for her provincial team, for her Super Series team. So she'll be delighted to be having a run around out there without the gloves on in green. She's in the game again.
Yeah, run rate now up over 10. So they've got to try and put a foot on the accelerator, these two. We know what Samara Vikrama can do with the bat, but she's just being kept quiet. She's only going along at strike rate just over 100 at the moment. Dilhari, just the 2 from 7. And that's beaten the edge. That's a lovely delivery. Really nice, this from Ava Canning.
She's come on and made quite an impact here. 1.5 overs going for 9, taking the big wicket.
Again, just finding that little fuller length. That time it was there to be driven, but this has been a really good over, this from Ava Canning. So 7 gone, 41 for 2. She's another of those, isn't she? Another youngster inside, 20 years old.
Yeah.
There's some really exciting prospect, and there's just some really exciting young talent coming through Irish women's cricket at the moment.
And Ava Canning is kind of wise beyond her years. She's someone you'd pick being much older. She's had a couple of injuries in her short career to date, been a bit unlucky there, but she's someone that is a very exciting talent, like I said before, with her height. She's a tall bowler, gets the ball to move in a long way, and surprises batters that haven't spent much time facing her with the bounce that she gets.
Arlene Kelly. Well, it goes for a bit of innovation, and it's come off. And I think we've seen former male Sri Lankan players play shots like that in the past.
It's where it started, isn't it? That's the origin. And this is very clever shot to Kelly's first ball. Kelly, a bit of width on offer there. Ball not swinging as much as she'd like, probably by this stage.
And you wonder with a shot like that how premeditated it is, especially off the first ball that you're facing from a new bowler.
And Kelly's probably the right woman to premeditate too. She's not quick enough to really vary her length and hit the pitch hard. So you know it's going to be relatively full. You know she's going to try and bowl straight or outside off. And you know that at this stage of the game, you're probably not going to get a significantly slower ball from her. So it's a pretty high percentage shot with no one behind the bat to Arlene Kelly early on.
Well, she's got a hold of that, and it's going to land between the two fielders, and it's just short of the boundary. And that brings up the 50 for Ireland.
And a lot of the time when you're a bit behind, you decide which over it is you're going to go, and this is the decision as Samara Vikrama decides Arlene Kelly is going to get some punishment. She gets into position early, hits across the ball, gives it everything against the wind as well, nearly hits it all the way for 6. One bounce over the boundary. Now the pressure is on Arlene Kelly to come back. She's an experienced bowler.
And the call, I think early, they're calling 2, and they'll easily get back in the end, or not so easy. Got the dive in, the dust flew up, and Amy Hunter was quick. Quick pair of hands behind the stumps, takes it.
And that is some brave running. Rebecca Stokel out there is much quicker than most tall people are across the ground. Picks that up quickly, gets it in. She'd be one of the quicker fielders out there and has a great arm on her as well. So they'll probably want to think again before taking her on for 2. As we see here, they've rushed back. Quick decisions made. And I think she realises the ball's coming a bit quicker than what she thought. In the end, it was the right decision. These risks do need to be taken when the run rate creeps up near that 10. But as we can see, even with this over, starting to come back down.
And that beats the diving fielder, and this really is starting to turn the tide for Sri Lanka. And it is that batter again, Samara Vikrama. And she just, everything she seems to touch turns to gold at the moment.
And this is what we saw from her last game. So quick to get back and pick that gap perfectly, reminiscent of Lewis piercing the gap in the previous innings, the end of her innings.
Yeah, an expensive over in the end, that one. 15 coming from her, 8 overs gone. Sri Lanka 56 for 2. Well, we talk about it, don't we, so often. There can just be a couple of overs that can really swing it back in your direction. You think if they can get a big one into the double figures the next over, we've really got a game on here.
Oh, exactly. I don't think Samara Vikrama is panicking or has been panicking this whole time. She's in great form. She knows 10 and over, as she just showed then, off Ireland's most economical bowler over the last 2 seasons. Picked off 15 without taking any risks. So she just has to time this well, and it looks like the intent is there now to really take on some of these bowlers. As the young Freya Sargent comes back to the attack.
Well, she went for just 9. She went for 9. She bowled the first over of the innings. And they somewhat took her on and got quite a heavy start. 9 off the first over, the Sri Lankan openers. But one of them is still out there in the middle at the moment, and she's causing a bit of a headache.
She's gone deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, and a cover as well out at the moment. No one in short mid-wicket, saving 1 or 2.
That's well bowled. And she looks to give herself room and see it through that offside.
She's so strong through point there, but there's a chance that could be her undoing on this pitch. It's a little bit quicker than what they've picked up, as we saw with Canning's wicket.
Just put body on the line there. Freya Sargent, just get your body in the way from it. Awkward bounce, almost kicked up and hit her in the face. She doesn't seem too worried.
She's tough. So 2 dots in a row. She'll be frustrated. The last ball was a bit short. She would have wanted to get that away.
Well, that's going to be no ball. Next will be a free hit, and just slipped out of the hand, perhaps. And, well, she's not worried at all by that, Samara Vikrama. Even if it's coming at her head, she's going to see it on its way.
And this is unfortunate from Sargent. She's got great change-ups, perhaps tried to go a little slower there and just didn't get it right. We've seen her use that ball to great effect throughout the season here locally, so disappointing for her from her perspective that she wasn't able to get that right there and continue to build the pressure.
So free hit. Well, she takes it on, and it's gone all the way, and this is just not the batter you want facing when you are bowling a free hit. And we talk about game-changing overs, and this really, these last 2 have been expensive already. Back, bringing that run rate down below 10, and Samara Vikrama up into the 40s.
It's the mark of a batter in form, never panicking if the run rate gets slightly away, knowing that she can catch up. And there will be an over that she can capitalise on.
Umpire Sue Redfern just checking the ball, that it's not landed in a beer cup or been scuffed by the concrete. And again, helped on the way. And there is a fielder out there who'll cut it off. The pigeons scatter again.
And that's a good comeback from Sargent there. She's had a couple of balls there that haven't gone her way, and she's managed to land her stock ball, which is flatter, quicker on the stumps.
And if she can close this out with a 1 or a dot, she'll really feel like she's had a recovery session at the end of this over. It was expensive in the middle, just that no ball just coming out, slipping out the hand and into the pitch this time, and just helped into the leg side by Dilhari, who will retain the strike. So 9 overs gone, Sri Lanka 70 for 2, and that target is 174.
So Georgie has taken a break, and we welcome back Isabel Joyce. Isabel, how do you feel Ireland would be feeling at the moment?
Well, they need exactly this. Is their captain. When the going gets tough, she brings herself on. And I think she brought herself on too late on Sunday, Laura Delaney. She bowled a really good over. I think it was 2 she went for in that first over. But after that, they took her down by playing inventive shots. I'm sure she would have gone home and thought about it and decided how she's going to go about this spell. They need a better over just to try and come back.
And I was going to say the same thing. I think she certainly didn't feature as early as she could have.
On the money straight away, clip leg side. They will look to come back for 2. The race is on. A really well weighted shot from Kavisha Dilhari, an easy 2. Things not easy for Amy Hunt right there. The square seems a little bit dead on the end, so every time the ball hits one of the used pitches at the end, it's just scooting along the ground. And the field isn't the deep. Well, they have to stay on the boundary because there have been so many 4s and 6s out there, but then when they stay out there, the 2's on. Lovely little change up, just rolling the fingers over the ball ever so slightly. Laura Delaney has 2 fielders patrolling behind point.
And we saw them really take on, two batters really take on Arlene Kelly, who might have Laura Delaney slightly for pace. So I was wondering whether Delaney they'd decide to take on in the same way, but her change-ups are a little bit more significant.
Shorter, wider. And Leopold as well in the end. A couple of people in the Irish team who didn't get a bat that are in the team for batting. She's one of them, Leopold. Christina Coulter-Riley, the other one. So she'll be happy that she managed to take that catch earlier on today. She'll want to make her presence known through her fielding. Single chance. Oh, well, not collected by Laura Delaney. She'll be frustrated. She's such a competitive cricketer. She would have wanted to collect that and throw the stumps down at the non-striker's end.
She's had a great start to the over so far. Only 3 off the 4 balls. She'll want to finish this off. And she's got a challenge here, bowling to the in-form Samara Vikrama on 45 off 32.
Yeah, I think the thing about Samara Vikrama is that 2 straight for everyone else is even more 2 straight for her. You cannot even bowl a middle stump from over the wicket to her. She is happy to play leg side. Lots of protection out there, though. Well, there you go. Down leg side, but finds the fielder. A bit of luck goes the way of Laura Delaney.
She was very lucky to get away with that. Isabel was just alluding to the fact that you can't bowl straight. You can't even bowl off stump, middle stump straight, and she's bowled down leg, so lucky to get away.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't count as straight, that one, does it?
No, that was a surprise. That was a surprise ball.
Yeah, the surprise one down leg side. So just the single. So Laura Delaney trying to wrestle back control for Ireland ahead of the drinks break. Mid-off inside the ring. Kavisha Dilhari thought, well, if that had hit, it was gone. Arlene Kelly had all 3 stumps to aim at, but she missed. And the diving Kavisha Dilhari gets home. So we reached the 10 over phase at 75 for 2. It's very much game on for Sri Lanka, who require 99 from the 60 remaining deliveries. But they'll think that they definitely are in with a chance.
Yeah.
Delaney just going for 5 in that over, so a good over from her after a couple of expensive ones for Ireland. Well, Sri Lanka, they lost the toss. They were asked to bowl, so batting second. Vishmi Gunaratne, the young opener, was just missed very early on, one from just 2 deliveries, but it's Samara Vikramat who's been so impressive throughout the series. She remains out there on 46 from 33. Pereira was elevated to number 3. It didn't pay off, just 10 from 8 for her, and Kavisha Dilhari is out there in the middle still, 14 from 18, having survived a couple of run-out scares.
We've had a couple of expensive overs there, with Sargent having gone for 23 off her 2 and Kelly going for 15 off her 1. But the breakthroughs have been from Prendergast, who has started off extremely well with her first 2 overs going for 8, taking a wicket, and Ava Canning, who took the caught behind wicket. And she's gone up on her 2 overs for 10, so great economy from the 2 of them. Laura Delaney's also looked impressive coming on for her 1 over.
Yeah, just the 4 extras so far as well, which they'll be pretty pleased about. Just some running repairs for Laura Delaney. You looked in a little bit of discomfort when she went to collect that ball and they took a cheeky single. She's, they say if you're a cricketer, you're injured. And I think Laura Delaney will feel that that's definitely the case.
She's been a cricketer for a long time now, for a woman who's still not that old considering how many years she's played.
So 99 required off the final 10 overs at 9.9 runs an over. It's a very long time to go at 10s.
And that's it. 10 and over isn't so bad if you've only got to do it for 2 or 3 overs, but it's significantly more difficult to do for that period of time. So,
yeah, 1 or 2 quiet overs like we saw from Delaney will definitely help.
But while Samara Vikram is out there, Sri Lankan fans will feel like they're in with the chance.
Yeah, absolutely. She seems like she holds the key. They do have Nilakshi De Silva, who I would think would come in next. She's kind of the engine room in the middle order, but whether she has the hitting power for that length of time, I would question. I would think that she kind of has, going at 10s for 2-3 overs, she would feel she can do it. She's got the inventive shots, but whether she could do it for 7, 8, 9 overs, well, I would love to find out. I would love to find out if she can get out there in the middle and Ireland can take another one. Well, it's such a pivotal over in the game. Arlene Kelly returns. Well, lifted over the offside. Not a convincing shot. Goes to Rebecca Stokel in the deep in cover. And she's been probably Ireland's best bowler over a long period of time, Arlene Kelly, if you look at her stats across. What do you think makes her so successful, Celeste?
I think she is quite mature and she's got a great temperament for bowling in those middle overs. And we see early on she bowls quite tight lines, and then she bowls an abundance of slower balls, all different slower balls in the end of the innings. So I'd expect we'll see a few of them this over. And that just means that the batter can't go hard at the ball every ball and premeditate what they're going to do.
It was premeditated there from Samara Vikramat's chance in the deep, but just over the head. But it wasn't a chance in the end for Christina Coulter-Riley. She did jump. Now that brings up the 50 for Samara Vikramat. 3 on the trot for her. The first of those 3 was in the Asia Cup final, if you don't mind. Her third successive, and it's been over 200 runs since she was dismissed. So she's in red hot form in this T20 series and in T20s in general.
So impressive, and she seems to have taken a liking to Arlene Kelly as well. Really put on the accelerator in Arlene Kelly's first over, and it showed she's got the same intent now.
That's a much better line, much better line. Craig catch there as it was hit straight into the ground. I just don't think you can bowl straight at the stumps against Samara Vikrama, can you?
No, you absolutely cannot. If you figure out exactly where to bowl, maybe let a few of these teams around the world know, because everyone's been struggling to bowl to her in the last few months.
Yeah, that's, for me, the line, but unfortunately she finds the gap. Maybe third needs to be out. It doesn't seem like you can set a field to Samara Vikrama. No matter what you plan to do, she's got an answer. 4 more to her total.
And that's a brilliant shot. As we're going to see, she gets back so quickly. Her hands are extremely fast. Arlene Kelly hasn't given her too much width there, and she has picked that up. Such great touch behind the point fielder there, and it's raced away as we've seen throughout this series so far. It's very fast out there.
That little bit fuller has paid dividends for Arlene Kelly. So full and outside off is what we're saying.
That's the message.
Every time we come up with the plan, she's got an answer like one or two deliveries later. We'll find out now. Arlene Kelly can really bowl consistent lines and lengths. Once she comes up with the plan, she usually can stick to it. Straight, too straight, and just a little tickle down the leg side. Yet another boundary, and another expensive over for Arlene Kelly. 2 boundaries and a 6 in it, and she'll be left scratching her head as she makes her way to her fielding position. 11 overs gone, 90 for 2, and again just a little bit too straight from the Ireland bowler. Just shuffles inside the line, makes sure to only get a tiny little tickle, because there was a fielder in 45, Freya Sargent, not able to reel it in. So Celeste Rack will take a breath. It feels like we've been running a race watching all these runs. Shauna Kavanagh, great to have you back with us, Shauna. Having your guest cameo spot.
Thanks very much, Izzy.
Kind of like your batting, actually. So you often a cameo?
Very much so, actually. Delighted to be here again today in what promises to be a very exciting finish.
Laura Delaney takes all the pace off. A wild throw from Leah Paul. Took 2 people backing up. I'm not sure what was going through her head there. She lined up for a massive throw and she was only about 10 yards away from the keeper. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think she was anticipating it would go that far over the keeper's head, but that's very good from Rebecca Stokel in the deep there, off the ropes into back up. So it's only just the one now over throws.
Yeah, Laura Delaney wouldn't have been too pleased.
No, she is definitely a bowler that would not appreciate that over bowling. I'm not sure any bowler would, but...
Full and straight down towards the fielder in the deep, but she can't come around too wide, is Ava Canning. She went for the placement rather than the power there, Samara Vikrama. She's able to play with both, but the placement is perfect.
And she's just picked that up so nicely. Bit of a fuller length. Nice and straight, beats the fielder there.
Yeah, I think it was the slower delivery from Laura Delaney, just a touch too full. Even fuller this time. It's probably a good length to bowl, do you think, to Samara Vikrama? Fuller of full, not quite Yorker.
Yeah, fuller of full. I think the margin of error there is very, very small. She's been so impressive in this series so far. Like, she's hitting the ball so well there. 60-40 today. She's playing a super hand for her team here.
There's still 79 to win from 51. 2 straight from Delaney. Top edge takes it over Freya Sargent in 45, and it just feels like the boundaries keep coming for Sri Lanka. Irish fielders looking a little bit perplexed as they just can't seem to figure out a way to stem the flow of runs.
Yeah, and she's just missed her line there. Makes it easy for Samara Vikrama to get off and pick that up off her legs and hit the ball for 4 there.
Yeah, 2 straight. So partnership of 70 now from 45. She sends that really full and wide outside off. The question asked, I'm not sure if they really believed that could have possibly been out, but Mark Hawthorne was unmoved.
I'm not sure Amy Hunter looked convinced.
No, she kind of, it was like she followed Laura Delaney's lead, didn't she? Let's see. No, there was a definite difference.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything on that.
Help down to Ava Canning there for a single. Yeah, I think the ball went past the bat before she hit the ground, so it was maybe just trying to get Mark Hawthorne not to give the wide.
I think so.
Yeah, well, very, very hopeful if that was the case.
I think you're always convinced as a wicketkeeper, though, once you get the ball in hand cleanly.
Oh, that's a beautiful change up from Laura Delaney. Kavisha Dilhari had just moved outside off, looked to heave it leg side and rolled the fingers over. 60 runs off the last 5 overs, but no runs off this delivery.
Yeah, and we can just see here, yeah, she rolls her hands off the side there. And Laura Delaney's been so good with that slower ball in her career. She's just got so many variations, and she's so consistent with it as well.
So 60 off the last 5. The 100 came up in that over. is in fact the wide that brought the 100 up, which Laura Delaney won't be that pleased about. So they need a bowler to come to the party here, Ireland, who will put their hand up, maybe take a wicket. How they'd love the wicket of Harshita Samaravikrama. 73 required from 48 balls. Ireland were 87 for 1 after 12 themselves, so that gives you an idea of just how many runs can be scored. And I think Gabby Lewis being in the final overs of that first innings showed just how valuable it is to have a set batter. Jane Maguire has come in and keep her up to the stumps. She will make things difficult for Harshita Samaravikrama.
Yeah, I think this is a really good bowling change. Jane Maguire has very good change-ups. At this stage of the game, she tends to bowl that off-cutter a lot. So I think this is a really good option against Samaravikrama.
Well, she's got her shot. That change in bowling, that is. Jane Maguire, if you don't mind, comes into the team, gets the breakthrough. Samaravikrama, well, she's finally dismissed after over 200 runs on the trot in 3 T20Is. 65 from 44 for her. And could that be this changing moment for Ireland? Could that be the moment where they think they have a chance?
And this is brilliant from Jane Maguire. That slower ball that we're talking about, off cutter on the stumps, brings the wicket of Samaravikrama, and this is really, really good from Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant change up there. And we talked about whether there was pressure on Jane Maguire because she just came in today. It definitely didn't show here. I think she was hoping for the captain to call on her, which is always a good sign. Full straight, and then rolls the fingers over, and she completely undid Harshita Samaravikrama there, who looked like she completely squared up. And, well, big round of applause for her as she was clapped out. Her teammates appreciate the hard work she's put in the last couple of weeks, but it's now down to somebody else. And Alakshi De Silva comes out at number 5. She's going to have to get going straight away. And Shona, as someone who comes in, or used to come in before you retired, at this kind of stage, it's so different, isn't it? Because you have to score from the offset. So what will she be thinking now? We'll come back to that after this delivery. Beautiful away swinger seam up to start off with.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm biased because I batted in the middle order or lower middle order. I think it's one of the hardest places to bat. You do have to come in straight away and get off strike, get the other batter on strike. So that's all that'll be in her mind for the first couple of deliveries that she faces. Get bat on ball, get up the other end.
Well, she's inventive. She's just taking a couple of steps down the pitch to make sure that she can hit it into the leg side. Nobody saving a single over there. So you say get up and down the pitch and change the strike over. How quickly do you start thinking boundaries?
I think at this stage of the game you don't really have too much time to afford yourself. I think the way I used to look at it was always first 3 balls, give yourself, get up and down the other end, and then you've got to start thinking.
Just the subtle changes from Jane Maguire, a shorter one into the pitch. Bit of width given, but Kavisha Dilhari was, I think, a little bit surprised.
Yeah, and then I think you've got to start thinking about where your boundary options are. That doesn't necessarily mean, you have to run down the pitch and take a wild swing, but you've got to really, really be clear about where your boundary fielders are in the deep and where you can get those boundaries.
Well, there's a boundary for Kavisha Dilhari. She was clear. She knew exactly what she wanted to do, got into position and made use of the 2 fielders up inside the ring at 3rd and 45. She's not done yet, Kavisha Dilhari. So a really good over from Jane Maguire, somewhat put a blemish on by that boundary.
Yeah, that's a really nice shot, and it's a really good decision as well with fine leg up in the ring. We spoke about this the other day, is that ramp shot or lap shot being so successful in women's cricket, and anything on that and goes for 4 runs.
So that over went for 6, but crucially the wicket came up inside it. I'm getting all the inside of middle order and lower order batting from Shauna Kavanagh, recently retired international. This is your home club as well, so you've got all the insight. And not only that, but your husband is the curator, so we've got every single bit of information. Those guys would love to be able to hear you, I'm sure, but they wouldn't be able to even if you were nearby. They're playing all the instruments over there. Great atmosphere here in Pembroke as Orla Prendergast comes back to bowl her 3rd. Oh, what a delivery that is. Question asked. Mark Hawthorne's not convinced. Orla Prendergast was. She can't quite believe what's happened. She thinks that's taken the edge, but the sound hasn't made it, if there was one, to Mark Hawthorne.
And that is an excellent delivery from Orla Prendergast. She looked absolutely convinced there was something on that. We'll just take another look at it here.
Yeah, just straightens up a little bit inside it there, Kavisha Dilhari. Impossible to see from there, but if there was a sound.
I don't think it's straight cut. I think there's definitely a bit of ambiguity there.
Fuller and straight at the gap found. What a shot that is from Kavisha Dilhari. Had to make room for herself and finds the space in between extra cover and mid-off. And she's playing an excellent hand for her team here. Another boundary off her bat and straight towards all the support there down at wide long off.
Yeah, and she's picked that gap perfectly. Slightly fuller delivery, and she's just gone through with the shot there.
And you talked about conviction, real conviction there from Dilhari. Gabby Lewis maybe a little bit too square. That's one of real power. Well, the other one was placement. This is power and placement. A little bit short from Orla Prendergast, and Kavisha Dilhari, she's just making use of the pace there to hit it back past Orla Prendergast.
Yeah, and that's really nicely picked up as well. That's not an easy length to hit straight back down the ground, so that's a really impressive shot.
And Laura Delaney looking a little bit stiff there in mid-off. That wasn't quite as straight as I'd initially thought. And Laura Delaney, in fact, will, unfortunately for her and for Ireland, it looks like she's having to make her way off the pitch. So we'll have a subfielder on in the form of Cara Murray. And Laura Delaney, I think that's the end of her bowling for the innings, which is a bit of a blow for Ireland. Dilhari moves offside, but Orla Prendergast good enough to follow her. And yeah, Laura Delaney spent a couple of months injured. She wanted to be fit for this series, but obviously something's happened there. It looked like she hurt her ankle.
Yeah, she's had a difficult lead into this series, and now she's carrying a bit of a shoulder niggle, so hopefully that's not something else to add to the list.
Short one outside off, so just not able to deal with the extra bit of bounce there when Orla Prendergast bowls it outside off. It's a risky game bowling that wide and that line with third up inside the ring there.
It is indeed. I don't know if that was the line she was aiming for, but I've been really impressed with Orla Prendergast this year. I think this is probably the longest lead-in we've seen. Her bowling consistently leading up to an international series, and you can definitely see she's bowling with that extra yard of pace, and she's really hitting the deck hard, which is so pleasing to see.
Goes the fuller length again. This time goes straight to the fielder. Cara Murray fancies a chance, but the field is not quick enough off the ring or off the boundary on the leg side, so they'll come back for a second. Excellent running from the Sri Lankans as they take 10 off that Orla Prendergast over. 14 overs gone. 117 for 3. 57 remaining. Needed to be scored off 36. So it's just in and around 10 and over they need. They did their job that over. So Laura Delaney isn't able to bowl anymore. You'd imagine that she's not going to come back onto the field. The bowling options for Ireland, Freya Sargent, I think she's coming back on now. She's got 2 overs. Orla Prendergast still has 1, as does Jane Maguire, so that's 4 of the overs that they need. Ava Canning and Arlene Kelly have 2 each as well. Who's your next bowler? You got Freya Sargent bowling this one. Who's bowling the 16th?
I think for me, Arlene Kelly. We've seen her be so successful, in that death period. She has a very, very good leg cutter, a very good Yorker. I think you've got to back her. She's been one of your best death bowlers in international cricket over the last number of years, so I'm probably throwing the ball to her.
Well, a really wild delivery from Freya Sargent, unfortunately. And for Nalakshi De Silva, she's experienced beyond anything Sargent will have seen, so she helps herself to 4 runs. Yeah, and as well, Arlene Kelly, she was hit for plenty of runs. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, and just sliding down the leg side here, it just makes it easy for the batter here to pick this up and find that big boundary there on the leg side.
Arlene Kelly's taken for 26 in her first 2 overs, but they were largely off the bat of Harshita Samaravikram, but she's back in the clubhouse. Much better from Sargent. Good from Canning, who dives to save that one. And so Harshita Samaravikrama, who's the destroyer-in-chief of Arlene Kelly's figures, is back in the hutch. So Arlene Kelly, she won't be too rattled from those 2 overs?
I don't think so. And, I think Rocky mentioned earlier, she's got such a mature and measured head in her. I think she'll know the ball's going to come to her.
Yeah, and it's so different to Freya Sargent, who's a very young spinner. She's been brought back into the team. She's been impressive, but a few nerves maybe that first delivery.
Yeah, I think so. And I was really impressed with the other day. I think her figures were 1 for 27.04, which is absolutely excellent, for someone of her age. Thrown.
Leading edge chance taken. Freya Sargent makes the second breakthrough in a couple of overs. Well, look to turn it into the leg side and Nalakshi De Silva. But all she could do was find the leading edge. For a while it looked like nobody was going to come underneath it, but Freya Sargent shouted loud and she took the catch. Well, brilliant wicket. That has meant a lot to her teammates as well.
Yeah, that was brilliant from Freya Sargent. Good length, leading edge, and as you said, it looked like no one was running for that catch. I think Freya very quickly realised it. She had to go for it, and a comfortable catch in the end.
So Nalakshi De Silva goes for 10 from 6. And this is how it happened. There you go. Well, I think actually we were looking around to see where it had ended up, and Gabby Lewis in the background had thought about going for it, but Freya Sargent sprinted underneath it. She wasn't going to let anyone else take that catch. So excellent for the young off spinner.
Yeah, and this is really good from Freya Sargent. I think we saw in the game the other day, albeit it was an easy enough chase for Sri Lanka in the end, Freya did kind of shift that momentum in the middle period, and she's done it again for her team here today.
So 123 for 4, the new batter in, the stand-in skipper, Anushka Sanjiwani. She was very, very happy when I was talking to her after the match on Sunday. And I said, we'll see if she's just as happy after the second game. Ireland supporters will be hoping she won't. Well, she's into the run straight away. Orla Prendergast does well to make sure it's just the one. Not many players can pick up and just throw from one step from that distance, but she's one of them.
I don't think so. She is definitely one of the best fielders I've seen in women's cricket. She's so athletic, both in and outside the ring. It's kind of hard to know where you want her to field.
Kavisha Dilhari sweeps strongly. That's an excellent shot. Orla Prendergast, the fielder, again in the deep. She won't manage to keep it to one this time. Just something to bring attention to is that Kavisha Dilhari, while she's been entertaining us with boundaries, 30 from 30. So if she's not scoring boundaries, she's not really scoring.
Yeah, and I suppose she's silently gone to 30 from 30, and as you said, she has hit a couple of boundaries there. So I think depending on how the result of this game goes, this could be a really good innings, or it could be a not so good innings. So I think she'll want to stay there though and give her team every opportunity here. She'll need to start finding the boundary a bit more.
Yeah, completely agree. 15 done, 126 for 4, so 48 required from 30. They do have 6 wickets in hand, and these two are used to batting at the back end of the innings. Kavisha Dilhari has been batting number 4, but historically she would have been a little bit lower down the order, so this isn't unfamiliar territory for her. And Anushka Sanjiwani, well, she's been moved down the order since Vishmi Gunaratne's come from the under-19 setup. Arlene Kelly, well, you called it. Heaved into the deep. Well, mid-off inside the ring, so it was pretty much a free shot for Anushka Sanjiwani. She had to come out and play a good hand straight away. She's done just that, 4 runs, her first boundary.
Yeah, and she didn't need to get much on that with mid-off inside the ring. And she's just picked that up over mid-off's head, and that's crossed the boundary very nicely.
Yeah, she definitely didn't get all of it. But that's the thing, when the fielder's up inside the ring, you just need enough to get it over their head. That fielder's now gone back. So long off, long on, mid-wicket and cover are the 4 fielders out. Just the 4 allowed outside the ring in women's cricket, outside the power play. And it goes pace on. Just the single to Leah Paul in point. So at this point as a bowling team, is it just trying to make sure that each ball goes for single? Is it take wickets? What's in the minds of the fielding team?
I think it's a bit of both. I think if you continue to let the batting team just go to run a ball, they will pick up those boundaries naturally. So I think you've always got to have that in the back of your mind. You've got to be attacking. You've got to figure out, okay, who's going to get me my wicket and how are we going to get it?
Dilharry gets in scoop position. Fielders are all in behind square on the leg side, so she'll heave it over. She didn't get much of it at all, though. So it'll just be the two. She had all the space to work with, but didn't get the connection.
Yeah, and that brings about another change in the field here, mid-off, up into the ring again.
Yeah, mid-off back. I don't think that the message has filtered across to square leg or fine leg, because now it's Rebecca Stokel going out. I think for me, I'd be dropping fine leg with the way Kavisha Dilharry sets up. She likes to ramp the ball over third and fine. And she sets up to hit it over mid-off. She doesn't get the legs, but she gets the right line. Great grab from Cara Murray. She gets to palm it down, but it's another two. So this is enough for Sri Lanka. If they can keep getting doubles, they will get home and hosed. A couple of balls for Arlene Kelly to save this one. Oh, she's bowled it wide outside off stump because she saw Kavisha Dilharry setting up. So good ball in the end, even if it's not a traditional good delivery.
I think so. I think she saw her move across there, and the batter just wasn't able to make the most of that full toss in the end.
No, but she did get the singles. That's Sanjuani on strike. They have brought square leg up for her, and long off goes back. Big last ball for Arlene Kelly. It's gone in the air. Chance for Gabby Lewis. Doesn't quite manage to get back, so it'll be another two, and it's been another expensive over from Arlene Kelly. 12 from that one, and she finishes her third over, not for 38. And be surprised if we see her close out her spell. 16 overs gone, and it's 138 for 4. So thank you so much, Shauna Kavanagh, giving us her insights. And welcome back, Celeste Rash. Celeste, you've been on the side. I'm sure you kind of had your Ireland cap on, hoping for better in the last few overs.
It's from the start of this innings, I had a feeling it was really going to come down to the wire. Sri Lanka have a consistent top and middle order that are able to chase down these runs if it goes their way. So it's going to prove an exciting finish here.
It's definitely one for the neutrals.
Certainly. Yep, we're fans of cricket.
Yeah,
we're on the fence here, but I must say I'm a little surprised to see Freya Sargent coming back on at this time.
Well, she took the wicket in the last over, so she's got the confidence. That one's muscled towards mid-off. Kavisha Dilharry looking to try and find the gap. She's not happy with that. Freya Sargent. So, I mean, for any bowler, once you take a wicket, you're really confident.
Oh, that's for sure, yes. And she's got a lot of bravery for a young age and early in her career.
Well, it is the kind of bowler that, as a former top order batter, you'd be pleased to see a spinner on when you're coming in at the back end. Sanjuani looking to heave it leg side. Chance taken. Orla Prendergast gets the wicket. Ireland celebrate again. Well, we wondered, should Sargent have stayed on? The answer for now is yes. Looking to keep scoring heavily. Anushka Sanjuani, all she could do was heave the ball into the waiting hands of Orla Prendergast in the deep. And the young off spinner has her second. Sanjuani goes for 8 from 5 deliveries. The fifth wicket down for Sri Lanka. 139 for 5.
No safer pair of hands she could have launched the ball into. As we see here, Sargent full of confidence from her first wicket. And it's a tough length to really get under with power, and she hasn't got much of it. Orla Prendergast, of all people underneath it, you'd be happy having her there.
Yeah, actually that replay was really interesting because you could see she was itching to get down the pitch, couldn't you? Her front foot, she had all her weight on her front foot. She had to quickly push back, and she just wasn't in any position to play that shot.
It's surprising she got it that far, in fairness.
Yeah, I thought it was going to drop short, but all of a sudden it found its way into the hands. So big job for Amma Kanchana, comes into the team, and if you don't mind, please get us the win, say Sri Lanka. A tall task for any batter, not least someone who's just come into the game for today. 35 required from 22. A brilliant ball. Well, another chance here. Sargent decides not to throw. I think she should have, but she didn't want to throw any more runs away, I think, was the problem. And if you take another wicket there, well, my goodness, you're right on top.
So the momentum just keeps shifting. One from Ireland to Sri Lanka, back to Ireland in this game. One big over from Sri Lanka, and they're back in it.
It's a big ask, though. 34 from 21. Floated delivery. That's brave bowling from the young off spinner, especially considering she bowled a big Noe a few overs ago, but she backs her skills. Love to see it from the youngsters. Such a skillful off spinner, which sounds strange, but she does have the ability to decide how much turn she wants to get in any one delivery. Has the one she can rip, and she can bowl a lot quicker through the air as well. Can Shanna give herself a bit of room? Doesn't manage to make contact. And that's something that Ireland need to do, is to try and see how many balls they can bowl at the new batter. Put her under big pressure. Gabby Lewis has to juggle her bowlers. She'll be the standing captain. She'll have to do it expertly. A single to close out the 17th over. So Ireland in the driving seat. 142 for 5.
And Freya Sargent has had a great spell there, taking wickets where it mattered. Her 4 overs, 2 wickets for 36 at an economy of 9. A lot of bravery there to be able to bowl the spell she did. And at the end of that over there, Isabel Joyce leaves us in the commentary, and Georgie Heath is going to be with me until the end of the match.
For the business end, I think you'll find it's called. Very exciting finish I think we're in for here. It's been a great game, this. Really good cricket on display. And sort of swung back in all directions. The pendulum, you couldn't call it, really. I mean, at the moment, I would say perhaps in Ireland's favour. But, as you say, you never know until it's over. And Prendergast to continue. And that's going to fall just short.
See what the Sri Lankan crowd loved it off the bat. And they're increasing in numbers. I assume people are all finished work for the day and heading into the ground. But this is the person that they want on strike, the Sri Lankans.
And looks to just try and nudge it backward of point.
Prendergast has let that one go a lot slower. And it's that subtle change of pace that's made her so successful, Prendergast. She's bowling a lot quicker than she has in previous seasons. A good run of not being injured, not bowling in pain, and not having big breaks throughout the season where she's not bowling has made a difference. And when she's hitting the pitch, they're really flying on through.
That's made a lovely noise off the bat. Does just roll along to the fielder at long off. Great crunch off the bat, though.
But no matter how nice the shot is at the moment, 2 a ball is needed to win. So it's going to require some risk-taking or some innovation here.
You can really feel it around the ground, can't you?
Absolutely.
And not got a hold of that. It's going to land safe as well. As 3 fielders converge on the ball. And in the end, it's Rebecca Stokel who does the fielding. The long legs getting her there first.
Tough ask from Kanchana, getting in and having to score 2 a ball straight away. back into the side today. A big job ahead for her.
Moves across early and sends it all the way. And I actually think it's gone over the fence and out of the ground.
She has absolutely launched that, and Dilhari liked it as well. She's given her a big hug. You can see here, Prendergast not used to getting hit for 6, even in international cricket. And she's moved across, Kanchana, and she has hit that so sweetly as the Sri Lankan crowd are jumping up and down. They know shots like that bring them closer.
Someone sat in their garden has just had a hell of a surprise. That's just launched over the fence. And Sue Redfern goes and picks a new one.
You have no shortage of cricket balls in your collection if you lived in that house there.
I'd have a very happy dog. You'd just sit there waiting.
Absolutely. Even these houses there in Willfield Road that we can see in the background, they're all good sports about it. They always have to get down and throw balls back.
And you definitely don't want a glass greenhouse. Unless it's sort of bulletproof glass.
Oh, that's it. You'd have to love cricket to live around here.
Well, Prendergast, what can she do to recover? Final delivery. Finds the outside edge, and she's gone. That is exactly what Ireland needed, and that is such a mature head on Orla Prendergast. It goes for 6. It goes a long way. There was a quick break, maybe lapsing concentration there for Kanchana. And she goes for 11 from 7. And Ireland, well, are they eyeing up a series equaling victory here?
Prendergast on her last ball of the spell, having been hit for 6, given it width, it's slower, and Leah Paul, safe pair of hands there at very far backward point. Could that be another big moment in the match?
And you can see all the fans in the background there, everyone up on their feet celebrating. Oh, Jane Maguire has been handed the ball to bowl the crucial 19th over. And again goes for the scoop. And it comes off. And Sri Lankans and the scoop, eh?
It's a very brave shot. First ball.
Well, you can see the flags waving in the distance. And they really appreciate this. That's smart cricket. It's getting your head down and getting under it, getting down there early.
It's a very tough shot to play off that line as well. So Jane Maguire hasn't done a whole lot wrong there. Bowled exactly where she'd planned and still goes for 4.
Fuller this time, and a little bit of confusion in the middle. They're trying to get down for 1, and it's cut off, and it's a dot ball. And 18 needed from 10.
And on the other side of the coin, it keeps Dilhari on strike, who is certainly the key here. 42 off 39, in good touch.
That's well cut off. In the end, they'll still come back for the second. Gonna have to be quick. Run out. Finger goes up from Sue Redfern.
That's great fielding from Ireland, but from a Sri Lankan perspective, she had to go.
Another one bites the dust, reverberates around the ground. And Ireland have got a sniff of victory here. And we're in for a really tight finish.
It's very quick work from the sub fielder, Cara Murray, who gets the ball in. Might not have been the quickest turn in the world. Jane Maguire picks it up very cleanly. And it looks to be just out from that angle there. But at this time of the match, keeping Dilhari on strike is essential.
Steps across early, doesn't get a hold of it. Misfield, but they don't take advantage.
She'll be disappointed. She could have gone 2 there. Instead, it's a dot ball.
Oh, she's been completely done there. That's really good bowling. Smart bowling, brave bowling at this stage in the innings.
She's now in that mindset where singles aren't enough. She wants the strike.
That's gone very high. Fielder under it, takes it, drops it, put down. Well, it's all action to close out that penultimate over.
And 16 off the last required. Now it's always tough getting the ball. It's a tough ask getting the ball when there's 16 required. It's yours to lose.
Well, what a difference that could have made. A wicket off the final ball of the penultimate over. But as it stands, 7 down. 16 needed from 6. 15 for a tie. And to see Sri Lanka take the series.
And it's Arlene Kelly to bowl at the woman who just dropped Dilhari off that last ball of the over. She's had the faith of Laura Delaney and Gabby Lewis today, even though it hasn't been her best day with the ball. Can she turn that around when it matters?
It's going to be cut off and they'll think about a second and decide against it. So good start this. Remember, she can go for 14 from this over and it will still be an Ireland win.
Kulasuri, the left-hander, we haven't seen much of this series with the bat.
Just having to keep changing this field around. Goes for the reverse this time. She got something on it. Oh, the Irish fielders definitely think so. Where's the backing up? The fielders are both at the striker's end. And there's a question being asked.
It looked like the batter was trying to walk.
Well, they've been signalled leg by, so it's all going on in this final over.
It's all happening now as we see the replay here. Kelly around the wicket to the left-hander. Looks like it's all pad.
That's swinging in, that delivery. This has been really tight bowling, this from Kelly in a final over. She was entrusted with the crucial final over, defending 16 from it, and now 14 needed off 3. It is still mathematically doable. And it is Dilhari on strike. And that's gone up. Fielder sets herself under it, can't get there, and it goes for 6. Sri Lanka are still in this.
Wow, what a shot from Dilhari.
So 8 needed from 2 now. just got to hold her nerve. Arlene Kelly, and that, well, in all the excitement, builds up Gilhari's 51 off 46.
And that was a strike as good as any we've seen today.
Goes for the scoop this time, doesn't quite come off. And there's claps all around the grounds. Well, just keep your foot behind the line, Arlene Kelly.
And Kelly's delighted that she followed her there, because if she would have left that could have been a wide.
Well, what a finish we've been in for. So foot behind the line, Arlene Kelly, because there's 8 needed from 1 now. And a swing and a miss, and that is it. Ireland have won the game. And there's a double fist pump from Arlene Kelly. She gets hugs all around. The first one to hug her, Gabby Lewis. Well, it was her century that really set it up today. And they are absolutely exultant, the girls in green. And what a game we have seen today. Ireland women winning it by 7 runs, and they gave it a good go in that chase. Sri Lanka 174 was always going to be a big ask, but at times they really looked like they got themselves into it. Again, Harshita in the runs, but when she went, it just slowed down. The regular wickets falling, they kept their heads, Ireland. At times it was scrappy, but they have fought, they are fighters. We are the champions reverberates around, and it will be a shared trophy because it's 1-1 in the T20 series. But today's game has really shown what these girls in green can do. Irish women's cricket really looking strong, and today they showed it. And they put up 173 and they have defended it. And Sri Lanka, in response, could only just manage 166 for 7. And look at the smiles on the face of the girls in green.
That's what it means to them. It's a brilliant win from Ireland, well deserved. And after the disappointment of not qualifying for the World Cup and seeing teams like Sri Lanka having so much success, Ireland have shown that they are able to match it with the champions of Asia, with some of the best teams in the world on their day. So congratulations to Ireland. That was a well-fought match. Brilliant work.
Yeah, handshakes all around. And, you know, as series go 1-1, it seems about right to me, if you ask. Ireland, they really showed up today. They would have been disappointed on Sunday. They put up 145 and they thought they would be able to defend it. And in the end, it looked measly with Sri Lanka chasing that. But today, you can see what it means to them. And you can see from the crowds that are in today, they've really enjoyed this game. We've seen quite some striking. Gabby Lewis, I mean, she was imperious with the bat in hand. 119 from just 75, and in the end being run out off the very last ball of that innings. And then in this Sri Lankan chase, Harshita Samarukrama, 65 off 44 for her, and a 51 for Kavisha Dilhari, unbeaten there at the end, and she really gave it a good go. And there it is. Oh, well, Amy Hunter, she went early. Gabby Lewis and Orla Prendergast, they were going along wonderfully in the middle. That partnership really set it up for Ireland women. And Gabby Lewis, 119 off just 75 deliveries. It really was a knock for the ages. One to go and watch the highlights reel of. And they managed to get themselves 173 from their 20 overs.
And similar to in the first match, that Lewis-Prendergast partnership is so important for Ireland. And in all the matches they've won recently, you see that that's certainly played a role. So 119 between the two of them, which was the difference today. Lewis and Hunter 20, and Stokel at the end contributed as well. And for the Sri Lankan bowlers, only 2 wickets taken with the ball, and that is from Kulasurya and Gamani. All of the runs per over there quite high. No one really was able to stem the flow of runs from the Irish batters, Gabby Lewis in particular. Only 3 extras bowled in their 20 overs, however.
Well, 173 was always going to be quite a tough ask for the Sri Lankan women, and they gave it a good go of it. Vishmi Gunaratne going for just 1, the former under-19 captain, and again Harshita Samarukrama, 65 from 44, again a standout innings from her, but it was the 51 from Kilhari on 48, and she was there at the end. It looked like she was going to get them there. It looked like she was going to bring them home at one point, but some really tight bowling in the end from the Irish bowlers in the death overs just kept them in it enough.
And the 72 between Samara Wickrama and Dilhari was the key for Sri Lanka. If they were going to win today, that had to continue a little longer and not leave it to the middle order and the lower order batters to chase them. As you can see there weren't a huge amount of partnerships after that. It was regular intervals of wickets, and that was the difference in the end.
Well, the Irish bowlers, 2 apiece for Sargent and Prendergast. The spin and the pace doing their job, and then Maguire and Canning picking up 1 each. Arlene Kelly, slightly expensive, but she held her own at the end, having to bowl those death over. And the 16 coming off the 2 overs from Laura Delaney. But Freya Sargent, I mean, she went for 9 off the very first over of the game, and you thought, oh dear, what's this going to happen from here? But she recovered nicely, a really mature head on young shoulders, picking up her 2 wickets today. The story of the day is that Ireland have won it by 7 runs, and it was all set up by that 119 from Gabby Lewis. And then the 2 wickets apiece for Prendergast and Sargent kept them in it. Samara Wickrama, we thought maybe she was going to see them over the line, and the unbeaten 51 of Kilhari, but in the end it didn't prove enough from the Sri Lankan batters with bat in hand, and it's Ireland women winning it by 7 runs. And what a game we have seen today, a high scoring thriller. We love a low scoring thriller, we love a high scoring thriller, and it means that the series will be tied 1-1 and the trophy will be shared. A real demonstration of phenomenal cricket today. I think it is now time to head to Izzy Joyce for the post-match presentation.
Well, it's time for the post-match presentation, and what a series that we've had for the Surrey Women's T20I series. We're just catching our breath as it's been tied. Ireland defending 173 for victory. So first of all, I'd like to welcome up Sri Lanka captain Anushka Sanjuani. Anushka, well played, first of all. What a fantastic performance out there from both teams. Give us your assessment of the game today.
Firstly, I like to wish Ireland girls. They played really well. Our girls, I think, did well, but we need to bounce back very quickly.
Bounce back for the ODI series. Yes. So straight away, you're just forget this one, move forward to ODI. What will you look to change ahead of that first game on Friday?
Yeah, we try out new players. We need to talk about our bowling plans and field settings, especially field settings. Let's see. You did have changes in the bowling, as you said. Did you find that difficult as captain, not having your set bowlers that bowl particularly at the end when you were in the field? Yeah, I think Ireland batted really well. Our bowlers need to more improve ourselves.
Well done in the series. First of all, you have tied it. It's just a 2-match series, so I'll ask Beth. If you can take the microphone. Laura Delaney, the captain's going to join you for up at the trophy. We'll just get a picture of you as it's tied. The Surrey Women's T20I series tied between Ireland and Sri Lanka. Okay, thank you so much, Anushka. Best of luck in the ODI series. And now I'll welcome up Stella Downs, Cricket Ireland president, who's going to make the presentation for player of the match. It was a pretty easy one for the commentators to decide upon because for her 119 from just 75 deliveries, it's Gabby Lewis.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Stella. Thank you.
Have a look. Guys, make sure you have a look at the photographer here. Here we go. And over here. Over there.
I'll take these off for you.
Thanks. Those are the Butler's chocolates that you get for player of the match. You can tuck into those later.
Yeah,
well deserved. Laura Delaney will help you as well over there, I'm sure. 119 from 75. Talk us through that innings. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, to be honest, it went really quickly. Like I absolutely love batting with the Orals, and I think we kind of get each other with the running, and we kind of play the same way. I think we always knew that we could target that back end. I think we just need to build in a partnership, and that's exactly what we did. And kudos to Reb coming in at the end as well to kind of take as many runs as we could in those last few overs. But yeah, absolutely delighted, and I think kudos to the bowlers. I think it's a flat enough wicket, and I think we really stuck to it. Great resilience from Freya and those coming back. I know it's not easy to get hit at the start and come back, especially Arlo dropping that catch, but I was no doubt in her experience bowling that last over. She was absolutely brilliant.
I mean, it's so likely to talk about everyone else's performance, but bringing it back to your century, you were quiet enough at the start. It went through the gears. Were you just waiting for that opportunity to close out an innings like we saw there? Because your hitting at the end was just incredible.
Yeah, I think I kind of knew the seamers weren't as threatening as the spinners were to me. I think they suited me on this wicket more to take on. So I think I just knew which bowlers I wanted to target, and I think I guess I came up today and hopefully for the rest of the series.
Finally, just from you, and I'll ask Laura about it afterwards, but to get a win against a team like Sri Lanka and at home as well, it seems to be a bit of a fortress for you guys, Pembroke.
100%, and especially off their Asia Cup win, it's absolutely brilliant. I think we knew that we could always do it, and I think people come over here and think that we're a bit of a walkover, but we're absolutely not. And I think we put up a fight every single game, and no doubt in the future it'll happen again.
Well, I'll keep you here just for a second, because it's actually player of the series as well. We had a check floating around. I'm not sure where it is. Siobhan has it there. We'll bring it up, because player of the series, you just about pipped Harshita Samaravikrama, because she made 151 across the series, but you made 158. So player of the series, as we asked Stella to come back up again, I'll take the microphone from you. It's a big trophy, and congratulations. Come right in. Yeah, that's it. Come right in, Gabby. Congratulations. Player of the series, Gabby Lewis. Thank you so much. Well done. Congratulations. Well deserved. I've got the microphone for you here, Laura. Unfortunately, you're in a boot, so will come nice and closely to me. I have to ask, obviously, firstly, because you're limping up here, you picked up an injury. What are you okay?
It's not ideal. Yeah, I suppose we're going to have to just wait and see over the next couple of days how it pulls up. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll push that to the side, because there's been monumentous win here on the field. You bowl particularly well as well when things were maybe slipping away. What does a win like this for your team mean?
Yeah, I think it'll be huge for our confidence. We had a tough tournament when we went away to Abu Dhabi, but we've decided that we're going to stick to a certain style of play, and I think that's worked against Australia, South Africa, and it worked here today against Sri Lanka. So I think we just need to keep backing that, and it's going to give us a lot of confidence going into the ODI series.
Well, you talk about that kind of style of play. I mean, we've seen what you've gone out and done, but what's the message? What's the constant message that's coming from Coach Ed Joyce and yourself to the team in the way that you want to play?
I think just keep playing with freedom and play the style of cricket that you want to play. I think take the game on has been a key message in the T20 format. If we want to beat the best sides, we have to have a good power play, but we also have to back that up in the middle and the death. And I thought Gabby batted insanely today. She was absolutely brilliant and well supported around her.
I have to ask you as well, Jane Maguire came back into the team. I'm sure she would have been disappointed to miss out in game one. Do you think that kind of pressure that you've got in the squad, where there are lots of players that could be in, do you think that's something that's going to keep elevating this Irish team?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you want to see from a player who's been left out, comes in, takes full advantage of their opportunity, and she did that there today. She was really clear in her plans, and she was confident in what she was doing, and ultimately played a massive role in why the team won today.
Finally, ODI series coming up, lots of championship points up for grabs. What's the thinking going over the next few days? Are there any little bits that you want to put right ahead of that series 16th, 18th, 20th in Stormont?
Yeah, I suppose we have a slight change of squad coming into the ODI series, so the roles will change slightly, but I think just keep building on this confidence and keep playing our game.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Laura Delaney, Ireland captain, tied series there in the Certa Women's T20I series. So that's it from the action here in Pembroke Cricket Club. Make sure you stick with us in the series, though, overall, because there are 3 ODIs coming up. First one's on Friday. It's up in Stormont, so if you can get along, get your tickets. If not, stick with us right here, HBB Studios and Cricket Ireland. First ball will be bowled at 10:45, so make sure that you're watching that. Until then, it's good evening and good night.